Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for this Halloween edition of DAX Machina. Sorry we are starting a few minutes late. I was having a computer meltdown. The fabled crap top just about gave its last, but my son Nick was able to perform an emergency surgery and get it working again. So hopefully this will be the last show we're working on the crap top. We should have everything up and running in the next couple of days, but at the moment, we're still on a wing and a prayer. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Of course, we've got Indiana Jones / Count Docula and Bubba the Redneck Werewolf, aka Robbie from South Crackalacky. Anthony is still not feeling well. He won't be joining us tonight. So it's just going to be the three of us idiots out here having a good time. Of course, I'm wearing my Roman Centurion helmet and got my Gladius nearby. So I'm playing Gideon tonight. I was going to do Captain America, but I couldn't do it with the glasses on. So you kind of have to put up with me with the glasses because I kind of have a powerful need to see. We did come up with something new tonight. I'm trying out for everybody. I hope you guys will like it. For those of you who are part of the channel and part of the family here at DAX Machina, we have come up with the term, the DAX Machination. So welcome to the DAX Machination, folks. We are glad to have you guys. We are happy as hell to be here tonight. And guys, how the hell are you guys doing?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
I'm great.
So
Robbie, before I came in, I think I got a button stuck in my tooth. So.
Robbie, I thought you were going to wear a costume.
I was, but I didn't have time. So
I like the Troy Landry gator hunting hat.
Shoot him!
I love that show. I was like kicking around ideas for various things, but everything involved me having to take my glasses off, and since I kind of need to see to type, I probably chose wisely, sticking with something that was a little less obtrusive. So happy Halloween, everybody. We've had a whole bunch of trick-or-treaters tonight. The Springfield Public School system did something they've never done before. They declared a fall holiday, and they let the kids out of school today and tomorrow so they could trick-or-treat. So we've had a hell of a lot more kids than we normally do.
That's cool.
Fortunately, my wife is always an over-preparer. I think she bought 40 pounds of candy. We've got a ton in there. Sorry, I'm trying to keep those off the screen. It kept popping up because it slows the processor down, and I don't want to do anything that's going to make the crap top chug. So how you guys doing tonight? I know I asked that already, but how you guys doing this fine Halloween night?
Well, ain't dead, so that's a good start.
And any day I wake up on this side of the dirt, it's got to be a good one.
Right, above ground and above the bars.
I know we are competing with a lot of folks tonight. There are a lot of other channels that are going live on Halloween, so I'm just happy that the folks that are in the crowd tonight, the DAX Machination, are here. So I know a lot of people are probably on other shows right now. So if you guys are joining us, we appreciate it. Hopefully everybody else will catch us on the repeat. So tell me, boys, what do y'all know about the history of Halloween?
Well, it definitely ain't about a bunch of candy. It's a lot darker than that.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, the original holiday was known as the Festival of Samhain. It's spelled Samhain, Samhain, but as all things Celtic, it is certainly not pronounced that way. Like the phrase slanja that Doc and I often say to one another is spelled SLAINTE MHATH. That doesn't sound anything like what it looks like. Gaelic is a tough language to learn just for that reason.
It's almost like they didn't want people to learn it.
Right.
It's like they got a whole different alphabet and everything.
Yeah. Flea's bothering you again?
Yeah.
Well,
I forgot to get my flea powder.
We'll have to get him a flea collar and get him neutered later.
Just throw some 7 dust on him. He'll be all right.
I'm gonna take him in and get him.
That
get
idea
him
is
neutered.
okay. That one's not.
Don't worry, my vet will put you out.
You know, throw him in a little flea dip and cut his nards off. He'll be fine.
We'll just use the red Cheerio.
Wait a minute. Wolfman's got nards?
We'll just put the red Cheerio on you like they do cows. Put the cone on him so he can't scratch.
The cone of shame.
It's the cone of shame.
General Dalton says, "Get Bubba a Coors Light." I think that would be about perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't see the chats. I was wanting to see what people were saying, but I can't see them.
Well, we don't necessarily have to stay in costume the entire night. If I'd have worn the Captain America mask, I was only going to wear it for a few minutes.
No, I mean, I literally can't.
Oh
They're
my
not
God.
there. They're
Well,
not there. So I can't. I can see. I just can't see. They're not there.
This is the Captain America mask. It's thick, it's hot, and you can't wear your glasses with it. So I probably wouldn't have worn it very long anyway, because I was trying it on earlier and had it on for about 10 minutes and was already starting to pant like a dog.
Hey, I got a little Halloween trivia for y'all. A lot of people probably already know this. What were the first jack-o'-lanterns put in?
Turnips.
I say it was not pumpkins, because there ain't a whole lot of pumpkins over there in Scotland and Ireland.
It was in turnips. And you can see some of the pictures of the old ones, and they were freaking terrifying.
Yeah, they were.
Did not know that.
Josh Dalton says, "DA, you missed the joke, son. Coors Light, silver bullet." Oh, I didn't even catch up on that. That's what you need, is you need your silver bullet.
That would be funny.
Hey, we got a super chat from Griff. Hey, Griff, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. The actual Festival of Samhain dates back to, God, I think around the 1st century, maybe even before. I was reading about it. It marks the beginning of winter in Ireland. And in the oldest Irish literature, it dates at least the 9th century. It was 4 of the Gaelic festivals. It was one of 4 of the festivals. Samhain, which was in the evening of October 31st through November 1st. Imbolc, which is the 1st of February. Beltane, which is the 1st of May. And Luansar, which is the 1st of August. Samhain and Beltane were at opposite ends of the year, thought to be the most important. Samhain, basically was the sacrifices made at the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter. Some of these sacrifices were parts of the crops. Sometimes they were people. It was a place known as the Mound of Hostages where they did a lot of these sacrifices. And there was a time of year when they believed that the veil was thinnest, when people that they had lost in the past could come back to visit them. It was, the pagan roots of Halloween are far more sinister than what we celebrate today. The original idea of wearing a mask was so that the dead who might be seeking vengeance wouldn't recognize you.
I didn't know that part either.
It's pretty terrifying, man. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I mean, the thing about the veil being the thinnest, I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We've said that plenty of times.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's supposed to be where, from what I've read, where, the veil being the thinnest, that spirits can pass through and hang around.
Mm-hmm. That's why that's where actually the giving of candy stems from. They would leave things out for the dead to have. They would leave drink. They would leave food out for the dead on their doorsteps. So the tradition of giving out candy kind of evolved from that.
Yeah. Either way, I don't want to meet up with no haints, as my daddy used to call them.
The heck no.
It's markedly darker though than what people think it is.
Really is.
Samhain is well, it's definitely known to be a pagan origin. Some of it dates back to the Neolithic tombs in Ireland, and that's far older than what most people originally would associate with the festival. But a lot of those tombs are aligned to be in line with the sunrise on the day of
Yep.
Samhain.
Yep.
It's some of the earliest Irish literature dates it to the 9th century, but we know it goes back farther than that. I
Yeah.
mean, these are really really old festivals that, much like the tradition of Yule became the Christian holiday of Christmas. It's the original times of these holidays. When Christianity moved into these areas, they adopted a lot of these holidays and made them their own, because it made it to make it easier to convert the pagan folk.
Yeah.
Because they were already celebrating on these days, it wasn't a big stretch to get them to continue to celebrate, only to redirect them to more Christian themed items. Um, and it's funny because we all know from the Bible that Christ was born when they were going to pay their taxes in Bethlehem. However, even back to Roman times, taxes were paid in the spring.
That's right.
So the birth of Christ would not have been on December 25th. It would have been during the tax season, which was in the spring. So adopting Yule, they changed that to December 25th, and kind of Christianized a pagan holiday.
And it's funny how you're talking about the burial cairns and everything like that. When we went to Scotland, there were cairns there. They estimate 4,000 and 5,000 years old, and the openings were directly to the east, so that when the sun hit them, light them up.
Werewolf 5674 says there's a real tunnel to hell or the underworld in Ireland. Considering some of the weird stuff that's happened in Ireland, I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form.
I think I'm not going to want to explore that one.
No wonder them Irish like to drink.
I'm good.
Well, I'm certainly down with that, but I'm down for a good Guinness anytime. Well, Nate, it's always good to see you two. Thank you for being here. John Doe says ancient peoples had a deep understanding of the movement of stars in relation to the curvature of the Earth, with various stone calendars being used to keep a very good track of time.
Yep.
Stonehenge was that way. Here in Missouri, the University of Missouri at Rolla, now they call it the University of Mining and Technology or something like that. I mean, Missouri S&T, Science and Technology. They built a scale model of Stonehenge. I think it was like 1/4 scale, and I've gone to visit it several times, and it can actually be used as an astronomical timepiece.
That's pretty cool.
They built it exactly to spec.
Yeah, that's really cool. Interesting.
I may have to ditch this helmet because it's got this. I don't know if you can see the little thing that comes off the back off of it. It's hitting my headrest on my chair. So the best I can do is this. If it leans down, I can lean back like this, but it tilts my head way back. So the helmet may have to go.
That happened to me one time at the fire department. We just went to those New Yorker style helmets instead of the Chicago style, and I had to go up into an attic fire, and I went crawling up through there, and it had a space about that wide, and both them flares on the side of it caught as I went up, and I think I shrunk about 5 inches.
Clunk.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I went up the ladder quick, but I came back down even quicker.
I bet.
Northwood says my ex has a tunnel to hell under her house so she can get home easier.
There he goes.
He never disappoints.
Always got a good one. Folks, as much as I enjoy playing the part of Gideon, the helmet's got to go. It is driving me crazy. And watch, my head is going to glare out on the screen until I can get a hat on. Ugh.
Yep.
My apologies.
Because I can't see nothing.
I'm surprised you lasted as long as you did, dude.
Yeah. Good Lord. Put your mask back on.
Holy crap.
Huh?
Shoot him.
I thought I had my lights off in here. It's dark, or it's bright now.
I do like that hat. Where'd you get that hat?
I think I got it off discovery.com.
I might have to go hunt one of them up.
Gotta have a little Troy Landry going on. Showed him a little bit, showed him.
So, either of you guys had any trick or treaters tonight?
Nope.
You both live in the sticks.
Yep.
We've had quite a few,
and that's why I live in the sticks.
Well, my wife got part of the Black Eyed Children show from Saturday night. And she's like, "Great, now I'm worried about the trick or treaters."
Yeah, I can keep all those Reese's pumpkins for myself.
There you go. I got a few of them over here. I might have gone in and raided the trick or treat candy.
There you go. Well, according to my doctor today, sugar is fine, but I might want to lay off the Reese's peanut butter because my cholesterol is a little high. So, yeah,
start eating more spicy food. That'll clean your arteries out.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Corey Cole says, for Halloween this year, I'm the second most interesting man in the world. Who's the first?
This is my thanks, man. This is my genuine replica of the Indiana Jones fedora.
I've got one of them up there myself, but I might look weird if we both wore them. Robbie would feel left out.
I wish we'd go back to wearing fedoras, man. That crap was cool.
Fedoras are nice hats.
I can go get my cowboy hat. That's close as I got.
I got a couple of them too. Tombstone says the weather was bad, so we got to keep the candy. Well, heck yeah. Corey Cole says the guy from the beer commercials. I got you. Sorry. I got to turn my fan on. It's hot as hell in here.
It's just you. It's just you.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I'm special.
So what other Halloweeny stuff we're going to talk about?
Halloween stuff.
It actually didn't transfer over to the United States until I think it was the late 1800s. Let me see if I can find the date.
Yeah, looking at some of the old Halloween costumes, those costumes back in the day were actually kind of scary, man. They were pretty terrifying. They were. Yeah. Anything like that. They were actually kind of creepy.
By the time of AD 43, the Roman Empire had conquered most of the Celtic territory. But in the course of the 400 years that they ruled Celtic lands, two festivals of Roman origin were combined with traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of this celebration into Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples practiced today. I haven't bobbed for apples since I was a kid. I didn't even know they still did that.
I didn't either. It's not exactly one of the more popular ones that you see nowadays.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Let's see. American colonists are responsible for initially bringing Halloween to the United States. Most of the colonists were English Puritans who celebrated Samhain before traveling to the new country. Although the Celtic religious traditions had long been replaced by Christianity, many of the old practices remained. Influenced by a variety of cultures, the Halloween traditions in the American colonies began to meld and change. In the New World, All Hallows Eve became a time for play parties, which were private parties thrown to celebrate the harvest. Many dressed in costume and told scary stories. These first Halloween parties helped shape the history of Halloween and the celebrations we have today. That's basically the Sleepy Hollow story. How Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. But trick-or-treating didn't start until the mid-1800s. Irish immigrants came to the United States bringing their Halloween traditions with them. This included dressing up in costumes, asking their neighbors for food and money. Food and money, hell! I'm trick or treating wrong. Pulling pranks.
Where'd that come from?
pulling pranks in the evening on Halloween. Americans started doing the same thing, which eventually turned into what we know as trick-or-treating. However, it wasn't until recently that treats became more common than tricks. For example, in the 1920s, rowdy pranks had become so expensive and costly, especially in major cities. Over time, cities and towns began organizing tame, family-oriented Halloween celebrations, which eventually helped reduce the number of reported pranks. Once candy companies began releasing special Halloween themed candies, our modern idea of trick or treating was born. So you thank your Reese's Pumpkins for that, apparently.
Man, interesting.
So basically, we as Americans modernized it for commercial purposes, basically.
They say 1/4 of the candy sold in the United States is sold for Halloween.
Holy shnikes.
That's a good
That's a
chunk
lot
of
of
money.
candy.
Yeah.
Because we sell a crap load of candy. I mean, there's whole candy aisles in Walmart.
Well, name a store that you go into that doesn't have some type of candy aisle.
Right. But the statistic I was just reading said that 1/4 of all candy sold in the United States is sold for Halloween. How crazy is that?
And then 6 months later, all the dentists are busy.
yeah. 10 out of 10 dentists recommend celebrating Halloween with candy.
Absolutely.
They got bills to pay, kids to put through Harvard.
The real question is, are the dentists behind the traditional American Halloween?
That could be.
It's a
That
racket.
could very well be.
It's all
about the Benjamins.
Well, I can eat candy, so thankfully, because my A1C was good.
There you go.
So I ain't got the sugars. I'm sweet enough.
You ain't got the Wilford Brimleys.
That's correct.
No diabetes.
Yep.
Hey, do you guys? This isn't Halloween related, but do you guys want to hear something I discovered today?
Sure.
Yes.
Let me find it real quick.
Embellish us with some knowledge, DA.
I'm gonna switch hats to a more tactical hat, DA.
Got to switch to a tactical hat. Sorry, I was answering Uncle John.
There you go.
Put my old unit beret on.
There you go. Hell yeah, Doc. Okay, yeah. Again, this is not Halloween related, but I was doing some research for the show, and I decided to Google cryptids in North America, and I found a listing for the cryptids of North America, but you're never going to guess where.
Where?
A very surprising source. I found a listing for identifying cryptids of North America on the website of the Bureau of Land Management.
Shut the front door.
I'm shit you not, right? I got it right here.
Send us the link, man, or put
U.S.
the link.
Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, cryptids of North America.
Send us the link and put the link up in chat, man. That'd be rad.
All right, I'm going to throw this in here. I'll throw that. It's in the private chat. And I'll throw the link into the chat as well. If you guys want to check it out, it's kind of vague on details, but I haven't fully navigated their website. I just discovered it and wanted to share it. But yeah, this is directly Cryptids in North America from the General Land Office Record of the Week showcases mysterious realm of North American cryptids in a collaborative effort by the ROTW team. Step inside if you dare. On the Bureau of Land Management's website.
Well, we found things like that on other government websites too, and people like to say, well, it's just a joke, and it may be an offhand joke, but
yeah, I think it's presented kind of with a little humor, but As
But it's
always,
still there.
we told you, but never mind.
Yeah.
Josh Dalton says DA, the National Parks website, had for years a list of U.S. military bases.
Well, I mean, I've heard for years, and Kevin said he actually saw it in his Army field manual that Bigfoot is listed as one of the creatures that you can encounter. I've still been trying to get him to bring a copy home, but
yeah, I want to get a copy of one of those manuals too. I know it's not really Halloween related, but I stumbled across that earlier today, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
That's awesome.
George says he's home from the hospital. Welcome. I'm glad you're home, man.
Good, man. Good.
Yeah, I want to explore this website to a larger extent, but I stumbled across that today, and I'm like, I have got to share that with the guys.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
I mean, what are the odds? I mean, Josh Dalton asks you, Doc, is that the 5th Special Forces Group?
No, man, this was our own, all the airborne members of our unit, because I was Air Force, so we got this approved through our commander and everything to wear on base. So I designed the flash up here. So not a green beanie, man.
Well, it's still pretty badass, Doc.
Thanks, brother.
I was going to say something. I completely got off on a tangent. Let me put my gladius up. I don't need that up here in the way.
Poke your eye out.
You might poke something. I don't want it to fall off and stab me in the leg.
you poke your eye out, kid.
And tonight, live on the air, I'm going to show you how to use a tourniquet from Dark Angel Medical.
Hey, there you go. You got the stuff nearby, so you're good, man.
Yes, I do have a tourniquet within easy reach, but I don't want to have to use it on myself.
Amen to
that.
Doc can go video call and tell you how to pack a wound.
Hey, I've done it in the books, right? So
exactly. Read that today, matter of fact.
Just saying.
It's not like I haven't got. I texted you at 2:00 in the morning and said, "Hey, fucker, you awake?"
Yeah, hey, fucker, you awake? That was the funniest text ever.
He's like, I was just going to bed. Why? What's going on? I'm like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I had a question. He's like, oh no, I'm awake now. I want to know. I want to know what you're up to.
That was after I got done gaming one night with my brothers.
That still cracks me up. You were like, oh no. Now I want to know what the hell you're up to.
I got to know what's going on, man. You can't leave me hanging.
Regale me with your information, please.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm like, all right, I'm going to send you an excerpt from the book I'm writing. Tell me how bad can the guy survive? Because I need him to. And 9 times out of 10, he'll send back like, nope, you got to fix this one. This guy's going to die.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
He's going to die.
He's DRT.
Yeah.
And then I sent him the one from Beast of Blanc Road, and that was the one like, hey, is this sufficient to kill him? Because they need to die on this. I won't tell anybody the scene that hasn't read the book yet, but it was specifically that this character cannot survive this attack. He's like, oh, no, I think you successfully did that.
Yeah. You got that one correct.
I believe I know which scene you're talking about, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of proud of that scene, to be honest.
It was a good scene.
It was.
So creepy Halloween stories. That was another. We've talked about the history. It's just historical facts. We know history. That eventually the Celtic holiday got adapted to modern times. But I want to talk about the creepy things that have happened to us on Halloween, because I know I've had a few.
I don't know. I can't. I've worked a lot of Halloweens, but usually it's just working those little trails that we have, but I've had, and I don't know if it was just kids being, the kids work these haunted trails and haunted places they have and all that. So I don't know if it was kids in the woods yelling But we went through, I believe it's called Mad World one time, and it's a big outdoor one up here. And they said, stay on the trail. There's not going to be anybody off the trail. But as we were going through the trail, we looked over and we saw a bunch of people, what we thought was a bunch of people, running up and down the trail yelling and screaming. So it may have just been kids, running alongside the trail. But it was like only on this one particular section. It's like we didn't see them coming in, and we didn't see them once we got past that. It was only like they were in a 30-yard section running back and forth. I don't know how they would have gotten that section, but still, it's pitch black out there, so you can't see if anybody would have had room to get in or not. It was weird. Mm-hmm. One of them. Is that part of the tour, Clark?
I got a weird one for you. Okay, Halloween night, 911 emergency. Guy's having a heart attack. Okay, ambulance crew rolls. A couple of us roll. We show up at the house, and EMTs are already there. They're doing chest compressions on this guy. Okay, they are doing everything they can to try to save this guy. He's not responding. They even tried AED, not responding. They go back to chest compressions. There's actually an EMT on his, straddling the guy doing chest compressions as they're moving him to the bus. Okay. They get him in the ambulance. We check the house and secure the house. Make sure, there's nobody else there, and lock the house up so the guy doesn't come home and find all his shit gone. They're still doing chest compressions. They get him in the ambulance. We watch the ambulance drive away. And again, I can still see the guy in the back doing chest compressions. Get in the car, go to drive away, and I look over and I see that man standing on the porch of his house.
Woo! Man.
It was the same guy they were doing chest compressions on. You can bet your ass that didn't go in the report.
That's like that story I've told about my buddy that worked.
By the way, he didn't make it. He was DOA at the hospital.
Holy!
Remember the story I told about my buddy in the mortuary,
mm-hmm.
where the girl saw the guy walking through, and they went through, and they go to the last room, and it's the prep room, and
mm-hmm.
they see the guy she described laying on the table.
Nope.
Look at the time, would you?
Yeah. I'm out.
It's 1:30. Get the hell out of here.
That was a nope. Didn't see that. Put the blinders on.
Yep. All
right. Show me back in service.
I got one for you. It's not super scary, but it's definitely of the spiritual nature. I was working in an intensive care unit on a Halloween night, and we had a lady who had a massive stroke, and we told the family, hey, this, if we drop her meds, she's done. If we take her meds off, and the family all got together, said goodbye, and I turned her meds off. Well, she held on for like half an hour, and that shouldn't have happened. She was hanging in there, man, just strong, right? Family and all said their goodbyes, everything like that. And when the sons came over to me, and he said, this was down in this was in Montgomery, Alabama, and he's like, he said, hey, Carrie, he said, won't you go pop that window open there? And so I went and popped the window open in the room, just opened it up about halfway, and he went over and whispered something in her ear. And dude, in less than 2 minutes, she flatlined. She was gone. And he said her spirit couldn't get out, had to get out through that window. And so whether it was true or not, but I'm going to tell you what, the temperature in the room got real cold when that happened. Everybody felt it. So that was a very spiritual moment for me, to say the least.
Steve Patton says, DA, you want to know something scary? Hell yeah, I'm always wanting to know something scary.
Oh, and Corey Cole's got a good story too. He said this is his anniversary of his first paranormal experience in a cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear about that one too.
Yeah, he said 4 only 4 of this will actually speak about it. So I don't know. What do y'all think? You think the window being open, let her go? I don't know.
That is the old belief. Lene says, DA, my kids swore that my grandmother came in the rooms to check on them at night for months after she passed.
My daughter has said that about my mom. She said, and when she was a little kid, it freaked her out when she was a baby. And she said, she sings to me. And I said, what does she sing to you, baby? And she said, she sings Jesus Loves Me. Well, 1, that's a song she sang to all of us. And number 2, that was a very exact song my sister-in-law was singing to her when she died. And my little girl didn't know anything about that. She just said, she just sings Jesus Loves Me. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I totally believe it.
Heck yeah, absolutely. No reason to doubt her. Steve Padden says, I guess the most terrifying thing is trick-or-treating with 5 kids. You poor man. Been there. Well, I had 3, but that was plenty.
2 was enough for me.
Papa Bear asked me a question. He said, Doc, what was the most haunted duty station you ever had? Actually, Papa Bear, it was my very first one at Columbus Air Force Base in Columbus, Mississippi. I worked at the hospital there, and we had this one old dude that still presided there even after death, and his name was Chief Criddle, and he was an ornery old cuss. He didn't really like anybody, but he loved him some cigarettes, and he'd go in the back stairwell and smoke before he died, and you could smell the distinct smell of cigarette smoke even 10 years later, and you knew if you smelled that cigarette fire up and smelled that smoke, you knew you were in for a sporty evening. That's for sure, because I worked there nights by myself sometimes down on the main floor. So, yeah, dude, if I'd smell cigarette smoke, I knew I was in for an enlightening evening. Call bells would go off, doors would slam, toilets would flush by themselves, cardiac monitors would turn on, phones would ring in patient rooms. You answer it, there's nobody there, just static. So weird stuff, man.
Nerd Babble says, was waiting for a friend to get off work. A gentleman was stabbed. While someone called the paramedics as we put pressure on the wound, we both saw a white mist rise up.
Wow. I saw that from a scene call. It was a flight, aerovac helicopter landed, and you can actually see something shoot up, and it's humanoid, misty shape. Crazy.
Patrick Miller says, my gramps was a prankster, and his pranks still happen 10 years later.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
A.R. Harris says, sitting in front of my house passing out candy, think I might maybe need a jacket to cover up my tank top. It's nice here. It's in the low 70s.
It's almost 30 here now.
Yeah, it's in the mid to low 40s here.
I'm glad to be here, though. I was down in Florida this past week, man. God almighty, screw humidity, dude. That's all I got to say.
When I was
horrible.
I think I just locked up.
We can still hear you.
Well, my system's locked up again completely.
God damn it, Bobby.
Well, I will continue to talk with a stupid look on my face until this thing shuts itself completely off. Because I'm afraid if I boot it back up, it may not work.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be Anthony.
Yeah. So I will remain frozen for a bit to see if this thing, if the solution solves itself, because I am completely worried about taking her offline.
Some damn satellites again.
Yep, yeah. Damn satellites. Y'all are busy in chat, y'all. If you got some good stories, you want to share them, will you? Share them with us.
I can't see chat anymore, so everything's froze completely for me. You know what? If you guys can hang on to it for a minute, I'm gonna take the risk. Right. I'm gonna try to shut her down.
So, all right, brother.
All right. Wish me luck. I'll be right back. Hopefully.
Good luck. I'm gonna stomach us.
What he said.
Chow and Meow said, 20 years later in my grandma's house, if you're downstairs, you can hear my grandpa walking down the hall, slow and steady, the way he always would. I 100% believe that, because I have heard stuff like that at my wife's aunt's house after her aunt passed. That's the house. The door flew open on us. You know, nobody in the house. Door was shut. So, yeah.
My dad used, when he was at Liberty Police Department at the old middle school before it moved to the building it's in now, which this was the old high school, but they made it to middle school, and he had an office out back. Well, for whatever reason, everybody used to say that office out back that he had was haunted. And he said that he would walk in there and books would fall off the shelf. Said there was one of the janitors had a rake that he always put up on the wall. He said every day he'd walk in, that rake would fall off the wall, and he'd have to put the rake back up on the wall. It was just, he said it was one thing after another, just always something going on in there. There's always electrical interference with computers and things like that in there. He said it was just like literally every single day something would happen. So
it's hard. I mean, whenever stuff happens like that, it's like in a loop, like Papa Bear said. You know, he said he was at Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one. When he was at Fort Riley, he said we used to go down to the parade field and watch Custer's 7th Infantry do drills. That's freaking cool, man. I mean, I believe it like this, Robbie, and I think you'll concur with this, man. Anywhere there's been a lot of tragedy, you know, death, things like that, like hospitals, how much energy does that hold? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like
life, there's death. There's just an amalgam of emotions and energy there.
Well, it's like one of my shows that we just, I think it goes live either this or not live, but it goes out. We had a girl that is friends with Norm, or actually is Norm's partner on the ambulance. She went out and did some research at Ridge Church, that place that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And she said all the feelings and everything that happened, she decided she wanted to really start looking into it, and she dug into it. And there was like a big fire that took about, I think she said 15 or 20 people got killed in that.
Wow.
There was a ferry that used to, because she said she told her husband who lived in the area, and she's not from that area. She said, I need to go to the dock. And he was like, what are you talking about? She goes, I need to go to the dock. I need to find the dock. He said, there's not a dock. She said, no, there's a dock here somewhere. We got to go find it. Went and found it. And he was like, how did you know about that? She goes, I don't know. I got a vision of a guy drowning. And, or something like, maybe it was a vision of her drowning and the guy with her. I can't remember how she described it, but she went back and started doing some research on it. And there was a ferry that used to dock at that dock right there, and no pun intended, dock. But said that there was like 20 or 30 people that drowned, and one guy, one body they didn't find, and it was, she said it was the guy that she saw in her vision.
Yeah, and that's funny, man. It's just like what A.R. Harris just said. He said, my ex-wife dreamed about my mother's death a month before she died, and even said how she would die, and she was right down to the hour of her death. I mean, things like that happen. You know, the energy imprints. Just like look at Gettysburg. You know, the battlefield there. You know, they all the Civil War battlefields, Vicksburg up in Mississippi. You know, they freaking have been working on. You know, they've been working. They've done some paranormal investigations there. They see orbs. They hear gunshots, cannon shots. It's like Chairman Mao said. It's all in a residual loop because that energy's been imprinted there. You know.
Yeah, and like you said, any kind of big tragedies or things like that, all that energy that's, I guess, transferred into the area or into the atmosphere, wherever it's transferred into. That's, places like that hold on to things.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, if you look at, like I said, like hospitals and stuff, man, there's just so much energy there, negative and positive, and that's all we are. We're all energy, man. And Nerd Babble just said, he said there, it's been said that spirits repeat their final moments if they're stuck, and that's where you might see that residual loop.
Yeah, I've heard people call it a spiritual loop.
Yeah, and John Doe just said it. There are probably several battlefields that are haunted exceptionally haunted due to the sheer scale of the loss of life there.
I've always heard Antietam, which was probably one of the Bull Run was probably one of the bloodiest battles in the Civil War. I've always heard stories of that battlefield being haunted. That would be a good one to go and check out.
Yeah, I'd love to go up there. It's funny, like even some of the forts out here out west, out in Colorado and all, Wyoming, all the old west forts, Arizona, New Mexico, they even have reported hauntings there. Even like F.E. Warren used to be F.E. Warren Air Force Base up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, used to be the site of an outpost, a fort. And it's pretty amazing some of the stuff that's come out of there too, right? Because they still have some of the old historical buildings, and they still see a lot of activity up there. Even, I mean, hell, I was out at Fort Pulaski. That was one of the first artillery bombardments of the Civil War. It's on the coast of Georgia, and now there's tales of stuff happening there too. So interesting things, man.
Yeah, I mean, no matter whether you believe in this stuff or you say there's so many things that people that you can talk to 20 different people that have been to this place, and 19 of them are going to tell you
right
something that happened, and they're probably going to be like right on par with each other, and they never even have had any kind of communication with each other. There's always got to be something to this for that many people to experience something. And I've never had any kind of supernatural experience. You've had plenty of that. I've had cryptid experience, but I've never had any kind of paranormal that I know of anyway. And we were talking about this the other night on Blondes and Booze, and Krista asked us that question. I said, "No, I've never had anything like that." And she was like, "Really?" And I'm like, "No, not that I know of." She goes, "Have you ever been going into a situation where in your job and you felt like, oh, I don't need to go into this, or something's not right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "Well, that's a sixth sense. That's kind of that same thing." And I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." I never would have thought about it that way, but maybe it is somebody that, or your guardian angel, whatever you want to call it, that's giving you the hey, watch out, you don't want to go there. And you probably I feel something looking at me in the steps. Stop in front of the recliner. Yeah, I probably would have too.
Yeah, it's funny how you mention that. It's like one of the questions was about Gettysburg being a haunted battlefield, and it said Antietam is supposed to be. I don't know about Gettysburg, but like you just said, I was looking up something real quick, and it's like, hey, what's the most haunted Civil War battlefields? And Antietam was one of the top ones.
Yeah,
because of the I believe because of the sheer loss of life. And Tracy Hole just bought something up too that said there's an increased activity on ley lines. Well, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and that we just did a show on ley lines. That is a very, very rabbit hole type topic of stuff like that, because a lot of that spiritual stuff is based on that kind of stuff, like nexus points and things like that, which DH puts some of those or that stuff in some of his books. If you like, I'm sure you've seen this looking at DC from an airplane or from the air.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, from what Johnny was saying, that whole entire city was built on ley lines. But
Yeah,
all that city is laid out based on the ley lines that run underneath it.
and as a spiritual conduit, I mean, you could get all deep into the Masons and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a spiritual conduit. It's like a spiritual freeway, so to speak. So it's pretty freaking amazing, man. All right, what else y'all got? Let's talk about some spooky stuff.
Give us something. I can't see the comments
so
on this.
You've never had any kind of paranormal spooky experience?
No.
Wow.
Not that I can. Anything that stand. I mean, I guess the only thing that you could say that was kind of sort of paranormal was after my grandmother died. And I've told this story, but I can't remember if you were on the show or not. But after my grandmother died, about a month after she died, I was cleaning up the living room, and my cordless phone that had the answer machine built into it, it fell behind the fell off the stereo speaker, and I picked it up, and there was a message flashing on it. When I hit the message, and this is a month after my grandmother had died. And my grandmother was a big part of raising me, and when my mom and real dad divorced, my mom still had to work, and my grandparents pretty much raised me. So my grandmother was like my rock. And I took her. It was on my 33rd birthday, I think, was when she had her stroke, and she didn't make it, but 3 or 4 months after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked that thing up and hit the button, and it was a message from my grandmother saying, "Hey, Robbie, I just wanted to call and check on you, make sure you're okay." I guess that's the only thing that I can say, the closest thing I can say to some kind of paranormal experience or some kind of. I mean, honestly, it was probably just the thing got knocked off, and I didn't, because it didn't have a date or anything on it. It didn't say, because it wasn't that advanced of a machine, but that's all it said. It was just her saying, "Hey, Robbie, I just want to call and check on you, make sure you're okay." And I needed that right at that particular moment, but that's something that kind of gives you cold chills to think about.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's weird. That's like not along that same vein, but we had a lady that was one of our patients when I was at Air Force Base, and she said, "Y'all are all so nice. I'd just love to stay here with y'all forever." Right? Well, they ended up transporting her to another hospital nearby, and she ended up passing there. Well, we were getting all of her belongings together before she got transported, and we couldn't find her favorite nightgown. Okay, we couldn't find her favorite nightgown at all. And after we got the call that there he is. After we got the call that she had deceased, one of the medics went in to prepare the room upstairs. I was down in the ER working, and one of the medics upstairs went to prepare the room for another patient, and opened up the wall closet. And guess what was hanging there in that wall closet?
The nightgown that y'all couldn't find.
The nightgown that we couldn't find. So I'm guessing that was her sign of saying, "Hey, I'm back, and I'm here to stay with y'all." So pretty interesting stuff, man.
I'm back, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Speaking of back,
Good to see you back, man. Nice segue, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts.
I don't know how good we kept it going, but we kept it going.
Well, I'm just happy you guys kept it going. So
well,
no complaints from me.
We ain't down to 0 viewers, so we must be doing an okay job.
We did all right, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Payton said today at my boss' house for lunch, we watched several magnets fall off the fridge in a way that they didn't just let go and end up in the middle of the kitchen. That was spooky. Yeah, I mean, magnets kind of have this, magnetism.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
not intermittent.
Is that how that works?
I mean, it kind of lasts forever. You know, it's kind of an infinite thing. And for magnets just to fall off a fridge, that's kind of now. Here's the thing, Steve. If that thing would have said like spelled out "get out" or something like that, you know, oh, look at the time. Exactly.
What do you know? It's time for me to leave.
It's time for me to get the hell up out of here.
Well,
Sorry, I gotta have a piece.
Look
of
at that.
candy.
It's 1:30. Get the hell out of here.
I should have been anywhere else 30 minutes ago.
I got an appointment at any place but here.
I have that thing somewhere else.
Exactly. Thank you, Lene. Appreciate it, darling. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm eating a roll.
Thank you, Lene. We tried. It was basically just us running our mouths, but we,
Yeah, we do okay. Yeah, we were just telling ghosty stories, DA. We were telling some paranormal stuff and sharing some of the stuff the folks in the chat were sharing with us. So what is DA, since we shared ours and they shared theirs, what's your favorite or most, maybe your most poignant, maybe the one that made the biggest impression on you?
The ghost story, like personal experience?
Yeah.
One that made the biggest. I think that would be the one where my wife kept seeing that little girl at the house.
Okay. The one at the house?
Yeah, she was the house we lived in before this one. She heard her speak to her, called her mama a couple of times. And that was the same time she had, right about that time, she was having the night terrors where a dark being was crawling up the bed after her. That's why she won't sleep with the light off in the bedroom, even to this day. But I believed her, but I don't see stuff like that, and it really affected me when I saw that little girl.
Yeah.
That was like, oh. And then when I went to the county records to find out that on that land before it was a housing development, years and years ago, it was a farm, and there was a house there that burned down. It didn't mention anybody killed in the fire, but it did mention that the farmhouse burnt down.
Wow.
That's right there on the spot where our house was at.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I think that's the one that like jumps out the most at me. But I've had a number of really, really weird things happen over the years. One night I went to release a body when I was working overnights at the hospital. All bodies had to be signed out by security. So I get a call. It's like 2:00 in the morning. And I go down to the morgue, and I meet one of the mortuary representatives, the people that were going to do. There was not much mortuary funeral home. They were there to pick up the body, take it prep for the funeral. So I buzz in, bring the guy in. We sign all the logs we've got to sign. I open up the cooler. There's one body in the cooler, and this cooler is not small. It can hold a dozen or more bodies. So this cooler's pretty big, and it's got 2 lockable cages. They go floor to ceiling. They're chain link cages with a heavy lock on them for bodies that are the pending autopsy for like a murder investigation, anything to do with law enforcement. So we can maintain chain of custody. We can lock those, and of course we have to sign the chain of custody form and all that. You know how that works with chain of custody.
Yeah.
But both those lockable little I don't hate to call them cells, but it's kind of what they were. They were just wide enough to slide the gurney in and about as long as the gurney. So you couldn't like stand in one if there was a gurney in it, but both of those were empty. The doors were standing open. And so there's literally one body in the morgue. That's it. There's a couple of gurney tables in there, but they're empty. So I take the paper from the corner, not the corner, the funeral home, and I go and I verify on the tag on the body bag that it's the same body. Again, 1, you don't want to release the wrong body, and 2, I wanted to make sure that the body he was there to pick up had actually been brought down from the floor, because sometimes they wait a while. Only body in the cooler again, tag matches. So I pull the thing out, I open the body bag, check the toe tag, verify that the body in the bag is the same as the marking on the bag, verify that. So I show it to the mortuary guy, so he verifies. And we slide the body bag over onto his table, and he starts cinching the body down for transport. And I'm just about to set the clipboard down when inside the cooler, which is now empty, I hear one of those autopsy bays, the ones with the metal door. I hear it start going bang, 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 bang. And being the funeral home guy, we look at each other like, what the was that? So I immediately open the door, go back in the cooler, and I could see that the little holding cell thing is close, the one closest to the wall. The door is doing this number, like it just popped back from the wall, and I can see indentations on the wall, fresh ones, where this thing has been hitting the wall. Lights are on. I check. There's no place in there they could hide, that a person could hide. There were a couple of small lockers for storing personal effects. I even opened those and looked to see if maybe somebody crowded into one of the bigger ones. Nothing. There's nothing in there. There's no person in the cooler. There's nowhere they can hide. Not even on the gurney tables. I even looked at one of them, had a sheet on it. I lifted up to see if it might be somebody underneath it. Nothing. I'm like, okay, that was freaking bizarre. So I back out of the cooler, and I shut the door. And I look over at the guy from the funeral home. I'm like, there's nothing in there. He's like, well, that's pretty damn freaky. And then it starts again, just louder than before. Just bang, 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 bang. And he goes, well, I'm out of here. And he heads out the door. And I'm like, well, it seems like a pretty good time for me to be somewhere the hell else to. And I shut the door to the morgue, made sure it locked, and I beat feet and got the hell out of there. I didn't go back into the cooler.
That is really nice, Clark.
And I've heard other officers that went down there that late at night heard similar things. Heard something slamming around inside the cooler. Can't hear you, Doc.
Sorry, man. Yeah, I was talking to Angie real quick. So Nerd Babble is new here. And
hey, welcome to the channel, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Welcome to the DAX Machination.
I like that. That's sexy. He said he would like to hear the story of the little girl.
Oh, let me tell the whole story. Lenny Perkins says, I got one when my husband had 2 massive heart attacks. I was in the cardiac ICU. One night he nearly died, and I woke up because I felt like he was pulling me close.
Woo!
He might have been reaching for you because he didn't want to go.
Yep, you're his bedrock, Lenny. You're his foundation, like my wife is to me, my sweet Angie.
So the story of the little girl is back in, I want to say 2002, somewhere around in there. We moved into a 2-story house over on the south side of Springfield. Pretty nice neighborhood. The area where that house was, just a few blocks away, it got pretty crappy pretty fast. But it had a huge yard. Me and the boys could go out and throw a baseball around and hit a baseball and stuff. It was a pain in the ass to mow, but it had a huge yard. And when I say huge, I mean like you could play football with teams in this yard. It was a big yard. It took me about 2 hours to mow it with a riding mower. But we loved the house. I mean, it had a great view. But that was the house we had both of our mastiffs at. But we lived in this house for quite a little bit, and I worked a lot of overnights as a deputy sheriff. And one night I came home, and my wife was waiting up for me, and she says, I've got a weird story for you." I'm like, "Okay." And because our bedroom was at the end of a hallway next to the main bathroom, and we had her computer and my computer set up side by side, where we could just look down the hallway and check on the boys. But the boys slept upstairs. I mean, we could go around the corner and look upstairs or go up and check on the boys. But if the boys were coming, we would hear them coming down the hallway. So I'm gone, and she was listening for the boys, and she did a lot of couponing back then. We still do to an extent, but she was clipping coupons and looking up coupons online and stuff and printing some out. And she said she just had a feeling like she heard one of the boys, and she looked down the hallway, and there was a little girl standing at the end of the hallway, and she was dressed in like Little House on the Prairie style clothes, like long dress with the apron tied around it. And she said it was the strangest thing. The little girl looked at her and said, "Mama." And she said, I just saw her there for a second, and then she was just gone. And I said, "You sure you weren't?" I said, "It's 7 a.m. Oh, actually, by then it was about 8. I said, "You've been up all night. You sure you didn't just you were really tired?" She goes, "I don't know. Maybe my eyes were tired, but I know I heard her say that." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll check on it." And got the boys off to school, and she would stay up and sleep at the same time I would. Then I'd go get the boys when they got out of school. So I go to work that night and come back, and she said, "No, I didn't notice anything." So a couple weeks pass. She hasn't seen the little girl, and she come home and she's terrified. She said that she had been trying to go to sleep and was laying there, laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, and she just felt like she couldn't move, and looked at the end of the bed, and this figure, like lanky, like spindly arms and legs, figure completely in black was crawling up the bed at her, and she said absolutely terrified her. And she finally was able to break free and turn on the light, and it was gone. So she refused to turn the bedroom light off at night after that. But I said, "You sure you're just not having bad nightmares?" She goes, "I don't know, maybe." But my wife, just for those of you who don't know, my wife is very attuned to this kind of stuff. I wouldn't call her a medium or anything like that, but if there's something creepy, like a spiritual thing, like ghosts, she will pick up on it. Her and my son both, my youngest son both. Took her down to the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. She won't go back to it. It's done. Doesn't want anything to do with it. But I've always known she's been, susceptible or connected to this kind of thing. So I didn't just dismiss it, but of course, I'm trying to be rational. I'm a cop. I'm like, maybe you were just really tired. Maybe it was a nightmare. And so she kind of said, yeah, maybe it might be a nightmare. And then she started seeing the little girl again. Saw her a few more times. And she would be at the end of the hallway and she'd say, "Mama." And I'm like, okay, well, this is becoming a consistent thing. Maybe there's more to it. So not thinking too much about it. And I'm still working overnights at the time. A few weeks pass, and I'm coming home from a shift, and it's late. It's well after dark. I'd gotten off a little early, and I'm pulling into the driveway, so it's still like 0 dark 30 outside. And there was it's like a little pine tree, like brush. It wasn't really a tree, but it was too big to be just a small bush. It was, you could easily stand behind it. It was about 6 feet tall, like a little Christmas tree, but a little more spindly because we didn't trim it. I go to pull in the driveway, and the headlights hit that tree. And what do I see leaning out from behind that tree? I see this little girl with pigtails and this dress from like Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. I mean, just the gingham dress. I see it all. I can see it plain as day. To the point I'm thinking some little kid is out, like 8-10-year-old kid is out here alone, and we're not far from a pretty rough neighborhood. So I throw the car in park, kill the car, jump out, and go running over to that tree, thinking it's a neighborhood kid. I'm not clicking, the period dress. I saw it, but it's not really clicking at that time. So I get my flashlight out and I search the yard. And like I said, we got a big ass yard. I'm not, well, at the time I was in much better shape. I'm a little more fat now than I was when I was still active cop, but I was pretty quick. I was deceptively fast over, as Gimli said, "We dwarves are natural sprinters, very dangerous over short distances." So I truck out to the back of the house, and this is an open, huge yard that we played baseball and everything. And then this girl had to have been Usain Bolt to have gotten all the way across that to the next property line and over a fence. There's nothing out there. There's no way this little girl covered that distance. Usain Bolt couldn't have covered that distance. It was a football field to the next fence. And there's nothing out there. I check all the way around the house. I'm like, I'm at the point where I've got my hand on my gun thinking something crazy is going on.
Yeah.
I go in the house and tell my wife, I said, I just saw somebody's kid out in the yard. She goes, "Well, how were they dressed?" And that's when it clicked. I went,
ooh,
oh my God. I just saw your little girl. She's like, "How was she dressed?" And I described it. She goes, "Yeah, long pigtails, the gingham dress, we never saw her again after that. But at that point, I was like 100%. I'm like, I was wide awake and on caffeine, on coffee. I was not even remotely tired.
Right. I mean,
and I tell you, I didn't sleep for a while after that either because I was pretty freaked out. But I think she saw her one or two more times before we left that house and moved over here. But I never saw her again. But that one time was enough, and it was pretty freaky. And then, of course, I found out from the county commission, the county records, that there had been a farm there that had burned down like in the late 1880s.
Wow, that's pretty awesome, man. Since we're sharing ghost stories, man.
That's what. Hey, that's creepy Halloween stories. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. All right, I've got a good one. All right, so there's a Baptist church right up the road from where my mom and daddy lived, and the lady that played the organ there, Miss Fay, she was one of our substitute teachers when I was in school, when I was in middle school, and she was awesome. But she was the organist at the church, and she had said something like, "Well, I'm going to be the only one that plays the organ here," things like that. And she loved playing the organ. Well, one of my other teachers, Miss Mary Ann, was playing the organ at Miss Fay's funeral whenever she died some years later. And when as soon as they rolled Miss Fay's casket into the church, the organ stopped working. Right. The organ stopped working. Yeah. And Miss Mary Ann stopped playing, respect, everything like that. So the piano player picked up and all that kind of good stuff. So preacher preached the funeral and everything, and they rolled her casket out, and all of a sudden, as soon as her casket hit the threshold of that church to go outside the church, the power switch, Miss Mary Ann never had switched the power off on the organ. The power switch lit up, and she was able to play the organ again. But wait, there's more. Folks would drive by the church or be walking by the church at night and hear the organ playing inside. And when they get up on the front porch, the organ would stop playing. Well, I thought that was BS. I mean, I grew up in a very, very, very small town. I thought that was BS, but multiple people who they weren't like the Otis, the Otises of Mayberry, they weren't like the town drunks or anything like that. They were fairly reputable folks. Had swore that they heard the organ playing in that church at nighttime. And they'd hit the front steps, look at the door. Door was not open. Door was still locked. And as soon as they jiggled the door handle or got up on the front porch of the church, the organ would stop. Well, me and my brother and my brothers and my nieces and nephews all went up there one night, and because we were all just ghost hunting, to see what the local haints were doing in the area. And as sure as shooting, man, we parked across the street from the church where the cemetery was, and we walked across the street, and as soon as we got into the parking area where the church was, you could hear the organ playing inside that church. And my brother Keith looked at me, and he's on right now, and he can hear me. I told him I was going to tell the organ story, and he looked at me, and we got up. And as soon as we got up the steps on the church and hit the front porch, the organ stopped playing. So I firmly believe that Miss Fay still plays the organ there every night because she was the organist. So she said it, and so it was. But I think the whole funeral thing was kind of creepy in itself. She didn't want anybody else playing the organ but her. Yeah, that was kind of a precursor. She didn't want anybody else playing the organ but her. So she was pretty adamant about that. So that was pretty cool. That was a good story.
That's a good one.
Definitely. Yeah. Werewolf 5674 says, question off topic. Did you use the movie Fury for some of your tank battles and Man's Marauders? There are some similar scenes from the movie Fury, But I've got a buddy who was a treadhead. He was a tanker, and I always joke that you can always tell an ex-tanker when they get out of the military because you can see them driving through town with their head sticking out of the hatch, the sunroof. But I called a buddy of mine who was an ex-treadhead and had him walk me through how that fire control got called inside a tank. The combat scenes in Man's Marauders are as close to an actual tank crew as I could make it without it being a real tank crew. But yeah, there's some cool scenes in there that I think are similar to Fury's, but I think, no offense to Fury, it was a good movie, but I think I did it a little better. That's just me patting myself on the back.
I'd say you did.
Little bit.
I'd say you did.
Yep. That's a good one.
So have any of y'all in the 108 people in chat, and if you have not liked and subscribed, why haven't you? Number one. And number two, if you haven't, you should. So y'all hit that like and subscribe button. How many of y'all have ever been to the Estes, Colorado, to the Stanley Hotel?
I want to go there. I've never been there.
Let's talk about some haunted hotels here for a minute, folks. I've been to a few of them, and I'm gonna tell you what, the Stanley Hotel in Estes does not disappoint.
Neither does the Crescent in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
No, nor does the Irma in Cody, Wyoming, nor does the Bullock Hotel in Deadwood. Son, that place is haunted.
What about the little hotel and bar in Tombstone?
Also haunted. Yes.
The Birdcage?
Yeah, the Birdcage Theater is extremely haunted. We caught some EVP in the Birdcage Theater because the cribs, where despite Tombstone movie and Hollywood representation, Wyatt Earp actually met Josephine in one of the cribs, which was below the Birdcage Theater where they held the high stakes poker games. So we were there one night for a ghost tour, my wife Angie and my daughter Lilybeth and I was running my recorder for EVP, and we picked up somebody whistling a tune down below us in the cribs. And there was nobody there but us. So pretty interesting, man. But Angie and I were up at the Stanley Hotel in Estes, and Angie had previously caught an apparition of a little boy on the 4th floor. That's where all the nannies and all of the kids would stay when the people were visiting the Stanley Hotel. Well, Angie got up there. We were up there on the 4th floor when we were visiting. She's like, okay, if there's anything here, give us a sign. And there was no one here around where we were. And I'm going to hold this picture up real quick. All of a sudden, all of the hair on her head, she's got long blonde hair. All of her hair went out like she had just walked into static. And y'all can see how chunks of her hair have actually been pulled away from her head. That was literally right after we said that. So I was like, Robbie, what time is it?
It's about 1:30. Get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Would you look at the time?
Yeah, so we unasked that place real quick. But yeah, she had caught an apparition up there. It was about a 3.5 foot tall apparition. You could see through it, but it was more like a shadow figure peeking out from behind a door at the end of the hallway. And that was when she was there years earlier. So yeah, go to the hotels, man. Those things are fun. Oh, Eastern State Penitentiary, man. Yeah,
Anthony's in the chat. He says, "Hi guys, miss you guys. Wish you too, brother. Get to feeling better."
Anthony, feel better, man. We love you, brother.
Love you,
Very
brother.
much so. Love you, brother. Get to feeling better. Anyway, Doc, what were you saying about the Eastern State Penitentiary? Sorry.
No, Eastern State Penitentiary was supposed to be, from everything I've seen, is extremely haunted. So yeah, I was just concurring to his message. So
Little Patty says the Mansfield Reformatory is a hot spot for the paranormal.
Man, okay, again, energy. Robbie and I were talking this while you were getting your camera situated, DA. Energy. Anywhere there's a lot of human tragedy,
Leaves
there's
a mark.
energy. There's energy, man. And, it's my wife and I picked up some energy in a little jail up in Cripple Creek, Colorado. It's an old gold town,
Mm-hmm.
old boom town from back in the day. And we picked up energy up there. And in the jail up there is haunted. We picked up energy in EMF. They turned on a flashlight in a jail in Natchez, Mississippi. So, I mean,
there's weird energy at the Civil War battlefield down at Carthage, Missouri. That battle was so intense they referred to it as the Battle of Hellhole.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But they won't let you ghost hunt in those places.
We were actually talking about Antietam while you were getting situated, or Shiloh, whichever one you want to call it. But that's supposedly one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, and I've always heard that battlefield is
super haunted.
Yeah.
Northwood sent me something. He said this was too long to put in chat. The first Halloween in the house I grew up in, my dad took the cardboard from a refrigerator box and cut out the outline of a man hanging from a noose. He then pulled the shade of the window in front of the bedroom upstairs, put up the cardboard, and put a work light on it. It freaked a lot of people out.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that'd freak people out.
That would freak me out just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Nerd Babble says, Doc, we have an old abandoned pen here, and it's grown over now, but they give tours now, and you feel the energy as soon as you step in.
I believe it, man. I believe it.
There's strange energies in old prisons. I know JCCC, the original walls here in Missouri, the Jefferson City Correctional Center, they referred to it as the Bloody 48, the bloodiest 48 acres west of the Mississippi, because of how many people died there in riots. Yeah, it's still referred to as the Bloody 48.
See, I think anywhere, like I was talking to Robbie DA, I think anywhere you have a lot of tragedy, a lot of death, a lot of sudden death, especially, then there's going to be those energy loops. And that's going to be a hotbed for activity. You know, I really do.
Yeah. Well, I've heard people say it's that energy, especially like you talking about sudden deaths that happen really quickly and violently. That energy gets trapped. Is what I've heard a lot of people describe it as. No matter how you look at it, there's something that gets left behind. Because
I don't care if it's a loop or if it's intelligent. If it's residual and intelligent, energy is energy, man, and it's there. Right. You know what I mean?
And you can't destroy energy.
Right. It just changes forms. That's it.
Yep.
That's physics.
Richie Evans says, real question. I wonder if the soldiers who died, how many of them were eaten by swamp apes and dogmen and they're still mad in their afterlife?
That's a good point.
Well, a lot of times in those battles, well, number one, they couldn't identify a lot of them because of the damage, or they just simply didn't know. I mean, it's not like everybody carried ID or dog tags back then. In fact, that was the reason dog tags were invented. There's a Civil War grave not just a few miles from where I'm sitting right now. It's called the Union Campground Cemetery, and it's just outside of Springfield. My son and I went out there with my adopted son Connor, and 90% of the gravestones said unknown.
Man,
and that's a weird feeling place. It just feels sad and lonely. And when you get there, it's just kind of almost an overwhelming sense of sadness and loneliness.
So my daughter Lilybeth is a seer, and she's got a gift. And when we went to Culloden Battlefield, and it's been like 8 years ago, took her and her sister to Culloden. She literally had to walk off the battlefield. She was covering her ears up, and she was like, I can hear horses screaming. I can hear metal clanging. I can hear gunshots. I can hear cannons. I can hear men screaming. And she had to actually leave the battlefield there because let's think about this, man.
That was a slaughter. That battle was a slaughter.
Over 1,500 Highlanders lost their lives in less than 45 minutes. Because
Plain Campbell led them into the English cannon.
Yeah, the cannon, and then the cavalry swept around from the side and flanked them, put them in a pincer movement. And so yeah, it was such a tremendous loss of life there. I mean, that place, it's such a somber feeling. And I think that's the only way you can describe it. It's such a somber feeling. When you step foot on there, it's hallowed ground, man.
It's like the verse from Sky Boat song. Many's the lad fought on that day, well the claymore could wield. Yet when the night came, silently lay dead on Culloden's field.
Yeah, man.
I love that song.
Yeah, I do too. I love that song, but and I think when we step on a Civil War battlefield or anything where there's been even the Greasy Grass, Battle of Greasy Grass, Custer's Last Stand, it is a very somber feeling, because there's such a tremendous loss of life. But like people have said on here, energy doesn't change.
I think historically
energy doesn't get destroyed; it just changes.
Right. I think the story of that battle, Custer's Last Stand, I think that it should be continuously referred to as the Battle of Greasy Grass, because I think they should stop calling it Custer's Last Stand and just refer to it as the Battle of Greasy Grass.
Amen.
Because battles are named by the winner, and the Lakota won that battle.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt, they won that battle.
100%.
In the museum on the reservation, they still have Custer's pistols, and the 7th Cavalry asked for them back, and the Lakota said, "Come and take them."
Yeah, absolutely. His arrogant ass he left behind the Gatling guns on purpose.
And his infantry. He outdistanced the infantry.
Too much weight.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was so much tragedy. Anytime you step foot on one of those places, it's hallowed ground. It really is.
Sorry, that my stupid helmet was catching the wheels on my chair.
That's why one of my favorite lines on We Were Soldiers, when Sam Elliott says, "You wanted to know how Custer felt? Won't you ask the other fella?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Like old Chesty Puller said, during the Frozen Chosen, he's like, "Well, gentlemen, we're surrounded. That simplifies the problem."
Those poor bastards can't get away now.
That's right. That simplifies the problem.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that no more.
What did Major Winters tell them about the battle of the Bulge when they got? We're paratroopers. We're always surrounded.
Airborne.
Heck yeah.
Look at that.
Ooh. My Uncle Ed, who passed away now, he fought at the Battle of the Bulge.
Wow.
Yeah, he would occasionally tell you stories about it. I got a picture somewhere of me. He was a cop after he got out of the military for years, and when I've got pictures of me like 3 years old standing on the hood of his patrol car with him standing beside me.
That's awesome, man.
He's one of the reasons I always wanted to be a cop.
That is awesome.
Those are two of my favorite episodes in Band of Brothers. One with Bastogne and one where they take the town of Foy.
Yeah.
That's probably two of the best episodes in that whole series, and none of the episodes are bad.
No, I met some of those old cats during a SHOT Show one year, and got a picture autographed by them. They put their autograph over their picture, over their.
Years ago, after I first got out of the Army, this would have been 1990, 1991, somewhere around in there. I went to the VA hospital down in Little Rock, Arkansas, because I was still having trouble with my knee, the one I blew apart in the Army. So my appointment was at like 7:30 that morning. I got there at 7, so naturally 3 p.m. rolls around and I'm still waiting on my appointment. But I've been sitting here for hours, and there's a little old man sitting just kind of across from me, and I noticed he had a World War II vet hat on. And so I'm bored. I've read every stinking magazine I can find. So I struck up a conversation with him. Well, first thing I did was, I asked him, about the war. I said my dad was in World War II. Thank you for your service. So him and I get to talking, and I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "I was a Marine pilot." I said, "Really?" I said, "That is awesome." He goes, "Yeah, I was with the Black Sheep Squadron."
Really?
Yeah. So I sat and had a conversation with that old man for about
crap,
4 hours. And
That is
I
awesome.
said, I grew up watching Baba Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Were you guys
One of
really like
Pappy's
that?
boys.
I said, were you guys really like that? He just laughs. He goes, if anything, they had to tone down what we actually did.
Holy crap, dude. That's awesome.
I love that show.
I did too. My
said,
dad did too.
There's stuff I can tell you wouldn't believe that we got away with.
Yeah, I would have loved to got to meet Major Winters before he died.
Yeah,
he was
same.
Him and Lieutenant Colonel Moore were two of my. I've written papers about them in a lot of my school or my classes for my criminal justice degree. When I had to write papers, I chose them on a lot of stuff.
My dad and his brothers all. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, man. My buddy John took care of General Moore's wife and met General Moore in a hospital. So that's pretty cool.
My dad and his brothers all went up to join the military at the same time for World War II. And they all went, obviously. And my Uncle Ray said he wanted the Army Air Corps, and Dad said he wanted the cavalry. So naturally, the Army, in their infinite wisdom, Ray got the cavalry, and Dad got the Army Air Corps. So you're just absolutely opposite. But Dad at the time was a hand-to-hand combat instructor. He'd been a prison guard. He was a black belt in judo. So Dad got recruited into what is now the modern-day PJs. They were the first experimental teams that were dropped into occupied France to look for downed pilots.
That's awesome, man.
He said most of the time they brought back dog tags because you couldn't separate them from the wreckage. He said, but every now and then they brought one home.
That's awesome.
So Dad spent most of his time in occupied France in World War II.
Holy crap.
Yeah, my grandfather was he was a medic in World War II. Him and his partner that were on duty actually got the call the night Patton got ran over. They were the ones that actually got the call to go out there, and they got in the truck and got down the road just a little ways and got the phone call. No, y'all need to turn around and go back. We got it under control. They're like, what? But
So any other creepy stories you guys want to share? Even in the chat, you guys want to throw some more creepy ones out? Although we are at an hour and a half in, maybe this would be a good time for us to do a little trick or treat of our own.
Maybe so.
How about, well, let me see what I've got here. Do my best Marlon Brando impersonation. How about someone an offer they can't refuse with a signed copy of Men's Marauders?
Oh, there you go.
How about that? How about we give away a copy of Man's Marauders?
That's more treat than trick.
Nightbot still sucks, but we'll figure something out. We'll do some Wild Hunt trivia for that.
Oh, here we go.
We'll do some Wild Hunt trivia. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a good one. This one's going to be obscure. We already asked a really obscure one when you weren't here, Doc. We asked everybody what Margolin's middle name was. That was a good one. People had to hunt for that one.
Damn.
Well, I don't think anybody got that one, did they?
No, we had to ask a different question. Yeah. Nobody got it.
Because I think I got to tell everybody, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, let's see.
Which book are we going to go for?
All right, we'll go with this one from Curse of the Wendigo since we've got Doc here. I was hoping he'd be back. Yeah, I want to kind of wait on Doc to get, because this one's kind of related. Northwood says the one story my dad told me from his time in Germany that creeps him out was that he went to Dachau. Yeah, I know people that have gone to Auschwitz, and just the feeling there was so overwhelming that they had to leave.
I imagine that would be a lot of negative energy in that place.
Yeah. Lene Perkins says that Robbie Raines did Patton die. John Doe says Patton died in a car wreck post-war. Yeah, Patton did pass away.
Yes, the war was already over, but he was still in Germany.
Yeah, he was still in Germany. A truck hit his Jeep and flipped it and killed him.
And our troops were still over there, and they were still responding to stuff like that.
Yeah. John Doe says also note that Germany was heavily interested in the occult at the highest levels. Yeah, they had a division called the Ahnenerbe. And that's what the Ahnenerbe was tasked with, was locating holy relics and items of power, specifically the Spear of Destiny.
Yep. That was actually in Constantine. They talked a lot about that.
Yeah, the Ahnenerbe was a real thing. You can definitely look them up. William Nighthawk says Patton was murdered. I totally agree. I think he was, because he had mentioned that he had political aspirations after the war. Doc, we're going to do a trivia question from Curse of the Wendigo, since you were here.
All right.
We thought we might, since we actually have you tonight, we might do something that involves you.
Oh Lord.
You think I had a pretty good one, but I'm not sure if I can ask that to a T. Let me think here a second. Tombstone says Marvel used a lot of it for the Hydra villains too. Yeah, I think Hydra was based off the Ahnenerbe.
They were. I've heard Kevin Feige talk about that, and that's exactly what they based them off of.
So I'm trying to think of a good trivia question.
There's a lot of good Doc trivia you can pull out of Curse of the Wendigo.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to think of a good one. God dang it. Papa Bear says not y'all. Good night, Papa Bear. Okay, yeah. Here's a Doc. This is partially out of Curse of the Wendigo, but it also ties into other books. We all know that in Curse of the Wendigo, a certain pocket-sized medic received his first transformation as part of the Hota Metaneo. How long did it take him to tell Angie? What book did Angie find out?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know.
Yeah.
What book did Angie find out? How many books later was it that Angie found out?
And legit, she was third party pissed off whenever I told her about it in real life too. She's like, Kerry Davis, you didn't tell me.
Wait a minute, your character said that in the book too. Quit.
I was like, wait, hold on a second.
Toshi got it.
Toshi got it.
Derek Buckles was close. He said Dead Moon, but it's Dark Moon. Okay, Toshi, send me a email at daroberts@daroberts.net and tell me who you'd like me to make this out to, and I will mail out that copy of Man's Marauders: A Planet Too Far. And you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'll throw in one of the new Man's Marauders patches in with the book.
Yeah.
So there you go, Toji. Give me your email address. Shoot me an email at daroberts@daroberts.net, and I'll get you out that copy of that book and the patch.
And for those of you who are new to the DX Machination, if you've not read any of those books, you need to.
You can find them all over at daroberts.net. There are a lot of series that involve cryptids, but there's a zombie series, there's sci-fi series, and there's even a fantasy series about to emerge. And guess what? They all interconnect. So if you read one, you're going to want to read the others, because things happen in other series that affect the series you're reading.
And you may or
Crystal
may
says
not
she's
recognize people in these books.
There might be some familiar faces in them books.
Maybe, right, Doc?
One or three.
One or two. We're at 111 people.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for jumping in tonight. Maybe we should give out an audio code too. What do you guys think?
I think that would be fantastic.
That's a really good idea, Clark.
Okay, so I've got Amazon. I've got Amazon Audible codes for Lakeview Man, Lost Legion, Perdition's Flames, Odin's Call, and Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening. Oh wait, no, Odin's Call. Those aren't good right now. We're changing the series around. So I've got 3 possibles: Lakeview Man, Lost Legion, Perdition's Flames, or Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening. So whoever wins, we'll let them decide which one they want. Oh, Nerd Babble says, where can we buy your books, DA? I will throw that up there. That's an easy day. You can check out all of my books right here at daroberts.net. All of the books are available. You can also order them all from Amazon. I have currently 27 in print. I was trying to get the most recent Apex Predator done for Halloween, to have a Halloween release, and just didn't get it done, unfortunately. But it is coming soon, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I want to get the cover ready to release.
Apex Predator or Wild Hunt?
Oh yeah, the next Wild Hunt. I'm sorry, it's codename Wild Hunt. Death and Dyatlov Pass. Yeah, thanks for catching that, Robbie.
DA's got so many things in the works, we just can't keep track of them.
That's kind of why Doc and I and Anthony and all, we're all around just to keep him straight sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the thing, though. If you guys are members of the Patreon community over at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor, you can check out the list of books that I've got planned for the next few years and help decide not only which books. No problem. Well, you can help decide which book is next, but help decide titles as well as, new books that could be added to that list. So, no, he didn't want that. He wanted the.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby. There we go.
Get that
there you go. You can contact us at daroberts@daroberts.net. And I'll type it into the. John Doe popped it in there too. Meg started to, but I should have just had DA at daroberts.net. That would have been much easier to do. Meg has the right idea. I should have thought of that.
Damn it, Bobby.
Does anyone sell propane and propane accessories? Nope. I sell
Just don't mess with man's propane. It ain't American.
That's right.
That is correct. I sell med kits and med kit accessories. Damn it, Bobby, get that tourniquet off your neck. You're scaring Ladybird.
Okay, so let's do another trivia question for an audio code. What do you guys say? One of you guys want to pick a trivia question?
We're going to stay with Wild Hunt, or we want to go to
Stay
Apex
with any book, whatever book. Just pick a trivia question from a book.
Oh, man.
First person that gets it.
So many books.
The audio code. Got a lot of books to choose from.
All right. I'm gonna make this an easy one. Who is the protagonist in the Ragnarok Rising series?
That is a pretty easy one. But it is a good one. Saw that pop up and thought Nightbot had just answered the question. Like, dang it, Nightbot, stay the hell out of this. You're not eligible.
Damn it, Nightbot.
Derek Buckle says easy if you read it.
Yeah.
If you read it.
And also, what was his favorite whiskey?
Well, that's kind of a dead giveaway. Might be a bit of a subtle hint on screen. Pork and Bean says, "What book do you suggest to stay with? You got so many to start with." If you really want to kick things off in order, there's a timeline on my website, but I would start with Apex Predator Wolf Moon and then follow the timeline from there.
Until you get to a certain point, then it's no good.
Yeah.
As I have found out.
Yeah, well, the timeline is ever changing, so
yeah.
As I add more books to the series. Derek Buckle says Bullet Bourbon. Nope, it's not Bullet.
Richie Evans?
It does begin with a B.
Wild Buck Whiskey? That's a negative.
Negatory, Ghost Rider.
Come on now. That means y'all got to buy the books now.
That's right. You guys haven't read Ragnarok Rising? Come on now.
Come on now. I think we might have them stumped, DA.
So I guess the majority of them haven't read the Ragnarok Rising books.
Oh, y'all need to read those. Those are great books.
I may have to try to get a little more knowledge of that series out there. Well, here's a hint. The character shows up in Lakeview Man Beast of Blunk Road. AJ Congman says that DA a box set. That might be in the works. Amazon is now setting that up where individual authors can do box sets. So we may be planning a box set of either probably the Ragnarok books because it's the only series that's come to an end. Ivy Races, I'm reading them now on book 7.
I thought that was an easy question, man. Holy crap. Man. Maybe we should redo the question, man. I don't know.
Blues and G Music says ask about the Lakeview Men series.
Well.
Okay, I got one from Apex Predator.
Do
it. What is Will Grey Eagle's favorite beer?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Because it's mentioned in several books. It's not just like a one and off throwaway line. It's mentioned several times.
My personal favorite beer is Guinness, but I did discover that beer that I mentioned that Grey Eagle likes at a restaurant here in town. It's bottled in Kansas City, and it pairs very well with food.
Well, Patrick Miller, you're half right. It is Irish whiskey, and I'll give y'all the answer to the question I had. Who's a protagonist in his books in Ragnarok Rising? It was Wiley Grant. And it is Irish whiskey, but what particular brand? And it ain't Jameson. And it might be a shirt that DA is wearing, and it might be the particular color of that shirt. Just saying.
Blue says, of course, it's not Blatz.
Not PBR either.
Nope.
Meow.
Lene says Bushmills. That's right, but which brand?
Which one?
Which type of Bushmills? Wiley has a particular favorite, but he does like Bushmills in general.
Which expression?
Bushmills Black.
There you go, Derek. Winner, chicken dinner.
Well, Derek, I'll give you an audio code of your choice of the ones we still have available. That'll be Oh crap! I just locked up again. Can you guys hear me? Nope.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
My computer just went completely black.
Now you're moving now.
I still
Okay.
got you, Catfish. You're still here.
Okay. Whew! I about panicked there for a moment.
No.
Okay, so Derek, you can have either Lakeview Man, Lost Legion, Perdition's Flames, or Ragnarok the Awakening as a audio code. So shoot me a email over at daroberts@daroberts.net. Let me know which one you want, and I'll get that sent out to you tonight.
Yeah, I thought I was doing a softball pitch on that one, man. Damn. And a slow
Sure.
pitch at that.
Chairman Meow says, "D, are you using the laptop or using the laptop or the desktop?" Hopefully the last night I was using the crap top. Werewolf says the chat is way behind on your screen, DA. Well, I blame my computer. It is on its last legs, I'm afraid.
Was that? So AJ is close to the beer answer.
Ooh.
He got part of it.
Yeah, you got part. Which boulevard is it though?
Yeah, AJ.
Yeah, you're real close, man.
You're there, man. You're real warm.
T. Davis says, "You the boys that painted my cat's butt blue."
You them boys that painted my cat white, shaved my dog, and cut my wife's hair.
I've got a paintball. I've got a paintball
kids,
story for you guys, and I do feel bad about this. But yes, this is a paintball story, and I won't mention names because somebody might hear it and tell a certain somebody who might still be pissed about it 30 years later. But a bunch of us bought paintball guns when I was in my teens, and me and a buddy of mine went and bought ours at the same time. We bought the exact same model. Our guns were identical. Well, the first thing I always did whenever we would get back from running around the woods shooting at each other was unload mine. I left a CO2 canister in it, I would unload mine. Well, my buddy didn't. I mean, it was identical. Well, I laid mine on the coffee table, and he put his on the other end of the coffee table, and I'm not thinking anything about it. His mom had this chihuahua that freaking hated me. And if I had my legs out, like reclined, it would run up my legs and stand on my chest and bark in my face. Well, it come running at me, and I had my legs back, and it was like jumping up on my legs, barking at me, trying to bite me, and trying to bite my hands. So my plan was to grab my paintball gun and cock it and hit that dog with a burst of CO2 to scare it off. Problem was, I grabbed the wrong gun. And at point blank range, I shot this chihuahua with a red paintball and laid it out with a block of ice. And he's like, "Oh my God, my mom's going to get home and see this dog covered in paint. She's going to kill us." So we got the dog real quick, and we put it in the kitchen sink. We washed all the paint off of it and put it in its bed. And apparently that dog laid around for about a week before it really had the energy to get up and walk around. But I'd go over to their house after that. That dog would come nowhere near me.
You're going to learn today.
That's what's called a self-correcting error.
That was right. a complete accident. I was intending to just give it a face full of CO2 and scare it off, but I hit it right on top of the noggin with a red paintball at a distance of about this far.
Oh, Lord, that's hilarious.
I felt so bad, but now I laugh about it. But at the time, we were terror-stricken. And he would call me like, "The dog's still not moving around. I'm just gonna have to take it to the vet." But it came out of it. But that dog would never come near me after that. I'd come over to his house and he'd go, "Huh!" and go in the other room and not come back out till I left.
That's hilarious, dude.
That's funny.
I did feel bad about that, but it's a funny story now. Oh.
Bless it. As my wife would say, bless it.
Did they ever guess the actual type of boulevard? I haven't been watching.
I hadn't seen it, if they have. Only thing I saw was AJ put in Boulevard.
Richie Evans says, "Real question, have y'all heard about Japanese whiskey yet?"
Yes.
I hear they make some okay scotches. I
Yeah.
tried Japanese beer. Sapporo was like drinking.
Bro.
It was nasty.
I've
Tried sake. It tasted like gem sake. Yeah, tasted.
I've
I
had
could definitely see it was a gem sake.
I had some of the Hibiki single malts. Yeah, that stuff is correct. It's really good, man. I mean, it ain't as good as a red paintball on Chihuahua's noggin, but I mean, it's pretty damn good.
And as much as I laugh about that, yes, I do still feel bad about shooting that dog in the head.
You're like,
But,
my bad.
Yeah, I just looked over at my buddy and just saw the absolute look of horror on his face. I'm like, oh shit, I grabbed the wrong gun.
Well, at least it was paintball, but I mean, still, 68 caliber paintball at point blank range, that will give a small canine attitude adjustment real quick.
It certainly did.
That's what they call an attention grabber.
Mm-hmm.
Richie Evans says, Blue, I'm Irish and I hate Jameson. My grandfather used to say that Jameson was the shite they sell to tourists.
Oh, Robbie, I think you went too deep in the weeds on them, brother.
I must have. I thought that was another softball.
I know. But see, we're dedicated. You know, y'all need to get dedicated, y'all. Read these books, buy these books.
That's how much appreciated.
Hey, you know what, DA?
Real nice, Clark.
That'd be a good one to do some trivia every podcast from one of your books.
We'll put out a trivia question of the night to the DAX Machination and we'll give out a prize. It's probably going to be an audio code because I can't afford to be giving out books every show. But tonight was Halloween, so I wanted to do a real treat.
And we still got to do the
AJ says, unfiltered wheat. You are right. It's Boulevard Unfiltered Wheat.
That's right. We still got to do the.
There you go, AJ.
We still got to do the cookbook.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, the cryptic cookery.
I'm going to throw in my recipe for homemade sloppy joes. I promise. If you follow this recipe, you will never buy canned sloppy joes again.
Sloppy Joe.
And it's pretty easy to make.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
Sloppy Joe.
Sloppy Joe.
And West Coast Dogman Project. Black Mills, Black Bush. Yes, sir.
That's right.
That is correct.
That is good stuff. I still got a little bit of that in my decanter over there. I need to have a glass of that.
Mercy. All right.
All right. Well, who was it? AJ that got the Boulevard Wheat?
Yeah.
Yeah. AJ, shoot me an email. I'll give you an audio code. You get to pick from Lakeview Man, Lost Legion, Perdition's Flames, or Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening. Oh, and for those of you who have been listening to the Cameron Buckner audio narrations of Codename Wild Hunt, they did we've done Odin's Call, and we've done Curse of the Wendigo. Well, in the next couple of weeks, you're also going to see Operation Blood Eagle. Operation Blood Eagle is coming soon.
Talk about a what the moment.
Yeah. Y'all were going to love it.
That's, Curse of the Wendigo is kind of like you expected because of the name of the book. And it kind of goes into that the outer edge of stuff, but you're expecting it. Blood Eagle is like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
BA got a text on that one. Are you kidding me?
I've gotten a few texts on that one over the years.
I said, excuse me, baking powder. What? What did I just read?
Well, when I was talking the synopsis of that book, what I was planning with Doc, he's like, man, that's going to come out of left field.
Yeah, that's for sure. Y'all are going to be doing a Hank Hill on that one.
Well, I'm going to be doing it again with Death and Die Outlaw Pass. I don't think you're going to see this one coming.
Speaking of that, there, boss man, it's about time for an update, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to get you guys an update. I will see what I can do in the next day or two.
Okay.
Toshi the Wolf says a lot of twists and turns and what the flying Watts in that book did.
Yes.
But really, if you think, and Doc, you can back me up on this, going all the way back to the beginning, you start to feel, it starts off like this, and then it's
right.
By the time you get to where we're at right now, it's like this.
Dude, I've told DA, I said, you're like the George R.R. Martinson of freaking cryptids, man. I mean, yeah, all I can say is don't get attached to anybody.
Folks, I just posted the link in the chat. That's to the playlists over at Dixie Cryptids. And if you look at those playlists, the first two are complete audio books of mine. It's Codename Wild Hunt Odin's Call and Codename Wild Hunt Curse of the Wendigo. Those books are on there in their entirety for you guys to free to listen to. So I hope you guys will go over there and check that out. Make sure you give a like and subscribe to Cam. Although he's got a few more than we do, but you know what? Share the love.
Yep.
Make sure you like and subscribe to his channel. And if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to ours. Werewolf 6674 says, I like most Irish whiskey. I like the peatier whiskeys. That's why I like Irish whiskey and Scotch. I'm not a fan of the really sweet whiskeys. I'm not a fan of the ones that have that gingery flavor. My favorite Scotches and my favorite Irish whiskeys are the ones that have that smoky or peatier flavor. What about you, Doc?
I like them all. Yeah, I mean, I
didn't say I wouldn't drink the others. I just
I like more of the Highland Scotch and the Speyside Scotch, but the Islay, I wake up in the morning and after I drink a couple of glasses of that, I feel like I got a campfire in my mouth, and I just, I'm looking for the Forest Service to be at the front door, so because there's got to be a fire somewhere. But I'm not a fan of the peatier Scotch like the Ardbeg or Laphroaig or Lagavulin.
My favorite is the Dalmore 12.
Dalmore 12.
Perfect balance.
It's a good solid drinkable whiskey. It's a good single malt. If I want to get high dollar, I'm gonna go to a Dalmore 18 or a Glenlivet 18. Those are my two go-tos. And then Glenmorangie makes a fantastic Scotch. It's finished in a Sauterne wine character Dior, and it is.
Ooh, I need to try that.
Dude, it is. I had it over there in the distillery, and I got a bottle there, and it is fine. It is delicious. It's like the wee tears of angels sliding down your throat. It's delicious. Hey.
Derek Buckle says, is there a romantic arc with Margolin and Valkyrie? Yeah, and that's gonna continue. There's a scene in Death and Die Outlaw Pass that I think you're really gonna get a kick out of. It's 100% the way the guys in the military are, so I think you guys are gonna get a big kick out of it. Werewolf 5674 says Blood Eagle was crazy. I was pretty happy with that book. I accomplished everything I wanted to do, and a character that appeared in that book series, who is very much so based on a real guy. His name is R. Clint Bruce, former Navy Special Operations Special Warfare Commander, had his own team. Gave me a lot of information when I was building that. In fact, he may or may not be the guy that asked me some questions about where I was getting my intel from. But we are going to be adding for the next Codename Wild Hunt book. On Team Odin, there's Team 1, which is Allfather. Team 2, which is Clark's team. Team 3, which is the heavy weapons gun that guards the perimeter. And Team 4, which is the backup team that goes out with it. Team 2 when they get needed. They're basically a roving patrol team, but their whole mission is to back up Team 2. We're going to be adding a Team 5, And Team 5 are going to be all special operations underwater teams, because the next installment of the Codename Wild Hunt series is going to take place underwater. The bulk of the book will be underwater.
I can't track underwater. Sorry.
And it's going to be something. It's going to be something y'all ain't seen yet. And a certain shark character will be returning.
Yep, and I know who you're talking about.
So if you guys have not read all the Codename Wild Hunt books,
Red Blood Eagle, you'll know who he's talking about.
Death and Die Outlaw Pass is a roller coaster ride. The next one, which I hate to use a title that's a direct derivative of a movie, although I did in Man's Marauders. A Planet Too Far was based off the old World War II movie, A Bridge Too Far, and had similar overtones, like because they had greatly overextended themselves. But John Doe, DA, would you like information on a variety of underwater infantry weapons produced over history? Sure, yeah, you can send it, but I'm going to be getting, what the Navy SEALs are currently using from some sources that I've got. So it's going to be Team Odin using modern gear. What was I saying? Oh, the title I was thinking of paraphrasing, or if any of you are familiar with movies from the 80s, this might give you a little hint of what the next book is going to call into play. You guys might want to look up the term "Gray Lady Down."
I know what you're talking about.
Hey, Nona Boss has popped in. Hey, Nona. Hey, Marty. How are you doing? Happy Halloween. Yeah, we've got a lot coming. Let me see if I can pull up the list. I'm going to have to share the screen because I can't really copy it. This is something I've already shared over on the Patreon community. Now, remember, the people that are members of the Patreon are going to help not only decide which order these books go in, but also decide, helping with titles on some of these and even more. There's going to be a lot of this that the folks on the Patreon community are going to be able to directly affect. Let me share my screen. I got to put that over on the other window. You guys ready for this?
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
I'm going to put this on the screen. You guys look at this. This is 2022 and beyond. This book is not in any particular order. Blood and Redemption, Heart of Iron, and Death and Die Outlaw Pass are two projects I'm currently working on. The rest of this list is the ones I'm planning next. Again, not necessarily in any particular order. However, the members of the Patreon community are going to help be able to decide this order. But some of these have titles. Some of them have only working titles. But these are books that are going to be in the future. Some of these, again, have no working title. The Patreon community is going to help decide the names of these books. Man's Marauders, Terminal Velocity. I've already got notes for these stories and written down. Some of these I'm really excited about writing, especially this one. If you guys will look at it right here, book 7. Oops, that's not supposed to do that. God dang it.
Bye, Northwoods. Love you.
Northwoods heading out.
Bye, Northwoods.
Here. This one's going to involve quite a bit of history. Project Olympus is a new series that I'm working on.
Dear God, DA.
Oh, dude, that's just... I've got more that I haven't even added to this. But these are the next 25, not necessarily in any order, projects that I'm going to be working on. And again, the folks over in the Patreon community are going to be able to help me decide what order this list will ultimately be in, which books comes next, and titles of a lot of these ones that have working titles. Again, next Codename Wild Hunt, Gray Lady Down. That's a working title. I don't want to exactly use a title directly from a movie. If I change it, I'm going to change it up a little bit. But basically, the Gray Lady Down was the term the Navy used to use when they lost a submarine. And I want to find out if that's still the title they use, if that's still what the code word they use, or if they have something new. Much like when Doc and I were talking about the term broken arrow. Everybody knows the movie Broken Arrow, that they referred to broken arrows when they lost a nuclear weapon. But they still use it in the infantry. Broken arrow means our position is being overrun, and literally every fast mover helicopter and gunship in the area immediately, that's their orders, is to fall on that position to bring down the rain. This is the working mind behind the next series of books. And again, the folks over at Patreon, you folks are going to help decide not only which of these are next, but also helping some of these titles. I am certainly looking forward to their input on these titles.
Get it?
So what do you guys think?
I'm excited.
That's a lot of books. And I'm going to continue to knock them out as quickly as I possibly can. Good night, George.
Have a good night, man. Be safe.
John Doe says it's a nautical tradition that the U.S. submarines which went missing in action aren't sunk, but rather on eternal patrol. Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about that as well. But when a submarine is struck and goes down and there's survivors on board, there's a term for it, and that's the term I'm looking for. It used to be Gray Lady Down. I'm not sure it still is. Well, Richie, that is awesome. Thank you so much for that. That is high praise. When I was a young man studying my craft to try to become a writer one day, when I was still just writing really terrible short stories and stuff that would never see the light of day now, Tolkien is one of the authors I wanted to be like. I wanted to create something that was bigger than just a single story on paper. Any author out there can write a book and have it, begin, middle, and end. But it takes a lot more work to make a series of books that all connect and paint a huge picture. And that's what I'm going for. In the creation of the DA verse, my plan is to continue to evolve this universe with more stories and more characters getting limelight. As some characters will fade to the back, others will step up to take up the mantle. It happened in Ragnarok. We saw a lot of main characters start disappearing and other characters stepped in. It's going to happen in all the other series. Eventually, some of the main characters that you all know and love will get retired in place of newer characters coming up. So these series are going to continue. They're going to be ongoing. It's not something I plan on stopping anytime soon. And one of my favorite writers is Cormac McCarthy. Cormac's like 95, still writing books. I want to be like that. I want to be this little old creepy old man in my early hundreds still cranking out novels.
Yeah. I remember when I read The Road, and
The Road's a great book.
Holy sweet baby Jesus. I needed Prozac after that book, man.
Yeah.
God mighty.
We watched the movie after I'd read the book years before, but Annette, I got her to watch the movie with me. And when it ended, she I was picturing the book the whole time, and Viggo Mortensen did such a great job in that movie. And that was a pretty faithful adaptation of that book.
It was
they didn't give it a Hollywood happy ending. They stuck to it.
Yeah, very well done book. Yes, and movie.
When we watched that movie, Annette leaned back and she goes, I don't like that ending. It ended wrong. And I looked over and I smiled at her and I had tears in my eyes and I said, no, it ended the only way it could. It ended exactly where it needed to end.
Man, that
one tugs on your heartstrings.
Yeah, for sure.
Two Shadows says, I'm going on Amazon getting a couple of your books. DA, been a while since I've had a good read. Well, I hope you love them. I really do. I hope that gets you hooked. I would start with Apex Predator followed by Lakeview Man. If you get those two books, I think I can hook you on all the other series. I really do. If you give those two books a shot, read them back to back, I think I will pull you into the DA verse.
And two shadows, as my daddy used to say, if I don't light your fire, your wood's wet, son.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you're gonna get into it and get his Ragnarok Rising series, folks. If y'all hadn't gotten it, man, it is a freaking ride.
I appreciate that, Doc.
You're welcome, brother.
You had a lot of input on that series. I mean, you and I met right after the first book came out.
Yeah. Dude,
I've picked your brain on a lot of shit through every book since then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm emotionally invested in all of DA's books, man, and I ain't getting up your slacks here and blowing sunshine up your kilt, man. It's a labor of love for DA, and I love being involved with these books. And I've been honored to be involved in them over the years. And for somebody I like me, to my medical classes, shooting classes, things like that, you enjoy your work, and a true artisan enjoys their craft. They enjoy their work, and they want to make it better, not only for themselves, but for the audience, the people who are going to look at it and also appreciate it. And man, I can't tell y'all enough. If y'all get all his books, you're going to appreciate them. And I ain't saying that just to make him a couple of dollars here and there. That's genuine, heartfelt sentiment, because you won't regret it. It is a ride, man. It is a fun time.
Yeah. And
thanks, Doc.
To piggyback off what Doc just said, DA and I've had plenty of discussions about this after shows. I am a big horror fan, and horror. I've told DA all the book series I've read. Brian Lumley, all the guys that write these big. And Lumley was one of the first ones that I ever read, is the Necroscope series. That is a huge series that spans like 15 or 20 books, and DA has got not only one series, he's got like 4 or 5 series that have their own ways that they're going, but yet they all interconnect with the other series that have their own trajectories that they're going, but yet he keeps them all working.
Dude, Robbie, I don't see how he does that, brother.
I don't know. How many times have I said that exact same thing to you, DA? How do you keep that crap straight? Because I read, like I said, Brian Lumley is a great writer, and I love those Necroscope books. But like, there'll be like a little thing that you read in his first book, and it'll be different 5 books later. And it's little stuff like that as a reader, you're like, but that it was like that over here. Now it doesn't happen that way in DA's books. He does, just because he cares so much, he always goes back and reads his stuff just to make sure he's staying on point and staying with what he said.
Yeah, Net makes fun of me all the time. Why are you reading your own book? You wrote the thing. I'm like, I wrote it 25 books ago. I need to find something.
Yeah, I mean, it's that attention to detail. Yeah. And Robbie, I think you'll agree this is the attention to detail is what makes it so believable, because I'm a technophile, and you work really hard to get the details right, and I appreciate that. And watching these characters evolve over the books, because you can tell when DA first started bringing his books out in the Ragnarok Rising series, how the characters were very raw, and they evolved and became more defined. And you really start looking in the psyche. You can feel what they're feeling in the moment. And to me, that's a dedication to the craft right there, man. It really is.
And the three of us have had this same discussion. When we start watching military and law enforcement type shows and movies, we all are like, that's not how that would go.
Exactly.
And that's some of our biggest pet peeves, but that is also one of the things that I know I appreciate, and I know you do the same, Doc, that you can read DA's books as somebody who knows anything about the military or law enforcement or any of that kind of stuff, and like, that's how that would go.
And if you don't, you're getting educated. You know?
I hate watching a movie and thinking.
I can tell you why the medical details are right.
I don't know about all that, but I mean, I'm just a man nurse.
You and Steve.
But you take the time to talk to that guy to find out how it works instead of just saying, screw it, I'm just gonna make it up. Nobody will care. Because there's a lot of authors that do that. They're like, well, I'll just, I'm just gonna wing it. Yeah, I'll throw a bunch of numbers in front of a gun, and nobody will know that it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you
take time to go, 238 space modulator.
Yeah.
Where's the kaboom? There's supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
My P-38 space modulator has gone missing.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's the, like Doc said, we're not sitting here just trying to blow smoke. I have read every one of these books so far, and as I'm constantly talking to DA, like, oh my God, where did you come up with that? How did you? What? Why? How did you think of that?
That's
and he does exactly what he's doing right now. He just sits there and giggles and laughs because he's like, this is what I want. This is the kind of reactions that I want.
Yeah. He's all like,
exactly, because he's stringing you along, and not in a bad way, but that's what. If it wasn't stringing you along and wanting you to get the next book, then he would. What are you doing it for?
Right.
Tochi the Wolf says, DA, I do have a question because this convo reminded me of it. What was Grey Eagle and Kodiak doing in Japan in the events of Beast of Blanc Road? Well, let's say for right now we're going to call that a training exercise, but there's a lengthy short story coming that'll involve that.
See, there's a method to his madness, folks.
And anything that you read in these books that you think might be a throwaway, it's not a throwaway because it's probably going to come back at some point. And you're like, oh, yeah, hey, I remember that.
I've also got 2 short stories that are coming. The first one is just basically a past, a story of what made him the way he is. They're called Demons Part 1 and 2. Those should be done this month. Demons 1 is going to be why Margolin is the way he is, and Demons 2 is going to be him dealing with the fallout of it.
Bro, y'all need to read them.
Is that what you sent me the other day?
I don't remember if I sent you Demons. If I didn't, I need to. It's about Margolin's past.
Yeah, well, where him and his buddy go back after. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. That is.
I'm almost finished with Demons 1. Demons 2 is going to be when the fallout from that happens, and Valkyrie goes with him to deal with it.
Well, she was there hearing the story.
Mm-hmm. He was finally breaking down and telling someone the story.
Have you read that yet, Doc? Have you sent it to Doc?
Yeah, he's read Demons 1. Have you
read Demons 1?
Yeah. Well, Demons 2 hasn't started yet. I'm almost done with Demons 1. It kind of got shelved for a little bit, but it's one of those things I'm going to get done.
See, you started Margolin as a throwaway character. Look where he's gone.
Margolin kind of took on a life of his own. He's one of those characters that when I write the dialogue, even I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
You start channeling Margolin.
Yeah. When he started talking about shaving the Sasquatch and lip gloss, I was like, I don't even know who the hell thought that up. I don't even think you can blame that one on me. That was Margolin. Might have been a different story if I'd had a beard trimmer, some lip gloss, and a jar of raspberry preserves.
What are the raspberry preserves for?
Don't ask.
Don't ask. Why do you like glitter in the morning, Margolin? Don't ask. Oh, mercy.
Toshi the Wolf. Exactly. He rang the dinner bell there. Didn't Margolin mention part of his history to Grey Eagle and Horned Moon? Yes, he did.
Yes,
this is the full story of what happened.
That's exactly where that came from.
It's a throwback to that line from Margolin about what happened to him when he was a young man before he was in the military. This is going to be... it's a good catch. I'm glad somebody noticed that. That wasn't a throwaway line. I had a whole story set up for that.
Good catch, man.
That's my point. There is nothing in these books that is just a throwaway.
Oh, man.
Because you never know what's going to come back and be in a book. I mean, I have read lines in his books that I've heard us saying in this show, and he's just like, "Yeah, you and Doc say that all the time, so I had to put it in a book."
Yeah,
Just had to be in there.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
you never know what's going to happen or where it's going to come from or where it's going to lead. So, yeah.
Well, let's just say that the book I'm writing right now, Death and Die Outlaw of Pass, I haven't written the scene yet, but I've already got it pictured in my head. Clark is going to have to make a decision that's going to affect the entire DA-verse. One decision is going to affect the entire universe.
Oh boy. Mm.
Clark is the gift that keeps on giving the entire year round.
I wouldn't be any more surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning, my head stapled to the carpet.
T. Davis says you have to add Steve Lilly to the crew. Funny you should mention that. Cameron Buckner and I are working on some projects together. There will be another Wild Hunt Steve Lilly crossover. Then there's going to be an Apex Predator Steve Lilly crossover. And they're going to show up on the Steve Lilly channel that Cam's got.
Mm. All right, Richie Evans had a serious question. Creamy or chunky?
You have to ask Marlon.
For
Yeah,
peanut butter, ask Marlon. Creamy or chunky?
Or Ray Stevens, a live chicken, a weed eater, and some peach preserves. That's right. That's right. I stole that about the preserves.
It's me again, Marlon.
It's me again, Margaret. Are you naked? Oh, we have too much fun.
Yes, we do.
But it's so much fun having fun.
We are coming up on the 2.5 hours, boys. Before we go, I did want to say I promised my wife, since I was doing a show tonight, we won't have one Wednesday, but we will be back on Saturday night. The compromise for me being in here instead of helping her hand out candy was I was going to take her someplace on Wednesday. So won't be a show on Wednesday. Will be one on Saturday. Lene says, that's awesome. I love the Steve Lilly with the Wild Hunt. There will be another Wild Hunt story, and there's going to be an Apex Predator Steve Lilly story. Toshi says, I won't be able to look at the jelly section at the store again the same way ever. Well, we did get some breaking news tonight on the future of the DA-verse. We are giving out. Hang on, let me. I'm an idiot. I didn't write down who won that. All right, who won the book?
AJ won one, and who was the other one, Doc?
Well, no, those are audio codes.
Don't make me lie.
I should have wrote that down.
I don't remember who won the book.
Richie Evans says, real question. DA put Dark Angel into your book story. Hey, Dark Angel's in every book.
Yeah.
And if you'll look at the back of the printed copy, in fact, I'll show you right now. This is the book we're giving away. If you look at the back of the book, every book goes out with this in it. An ad for Dark Angel, and I am damn proud to do it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you even tell what most of his kits stand for.
Yep. It's either in the footnote or in the description. Two Shadows has just ordered the first 3 Apex Predators. Awesome. Thank you. Toshi won the book. That's right. Toshi, send me an email. You got my email address. Send me your email to the address you want that sent to and how you want me to make it out. We also gave out 2 audio codes. You guys have the email address, daroberts@daroberts.net. Send me an email with the audio code you want. That'll be either Lakeview Man, Lost Legion Perdition's Flames, or Ragnarok Rising Awakening. Lost Legion Perdition's Flames is a really awesome narration. It's done by Sal Passos, who's in the chat fairly often. Sal did a great job, especially with the Latin pronunciations. Very proud of the way he did that. So yeah, he's already working on the second in that sci-fi series. I'm either going to have him do Man's Marauders, or I might actually do Man's Marauders myself. I haven't decided yet. Gonna be trying to get Doc to get some books done too, and
Yep.
I know Cam Buckman wants to do more. We're going to do a lot of them the way he's been doing them, releasing them on his channel and releasing them as audiobooks. And the reason we're doing that, and this is a pretty simple explanation, when you put an audiobook on Audible, on ACX, the author writes the book, and they put months of work into writing a book. Okay, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, thousands of hours go into writing the book, and then the narrator takes hours and hours and hours, maybe even hundreds of hours, to get the audio perfect, and we upload those to ACX. ACX approves the audio, and then they host the file. Okay, they take 80% of the royalties. And that's why we're getting away from doing ACX exclusive. Because we can make more off ad revenue off YouTube than we ever made off ACX.
Yep.
I think it's not quite 80%. I think I get 12.5% and Cam gets 12.5%. The narrator gets 12.5%. Amazon gets the rest. So they take 75% for just hosting the file. So look for the audiobooks to be non-exclusive ACX and showing up in other places. Richie says, I'm talking about him into your character as himself.
Doc is in the...
Yeah, Doc's in the books, and the audio. Yeah, that's not just an ad in the back. I talk about the kits all the time.
And you may see me in a couple of books, aka Wendigo, some of the short stories.
The Origin of Grey Eagle, when his deployment in Afghanistan, Doc shows up in that.
Yep.
That is a highly fictionalized version of how Dark Angel Medical got its start. It didn't get its start because Grey Eagle smuggled diamonds out of Afghanistan.
That's true.
It did not happen. That's fiction. It's all fiction. Yeah, 100%. If the IRS is listening, no, that was 100% fiction.
Doc did not get diamonds from Bigfoots in Afghanistan.
That's
I
right.
repeat, Doc did not get diamonds from Bigfoots in Afghanistan.
As far as you all know.
Yeah. So that story is fiction. Is fiction. Plausible deniability. John Doe says, for legal reasons, it's a joke.
Yes.
Well, boys, we are at 2.5 hours, just over 2.5 hours, and folks, I've given you guys a glimpse at the internal machinations of the DA verse, of the books that are coming. Again, the good folks over at the Patreon community, it's a growing list. About every week or two, we get a new one. But if you guys will check it out over at patreon.com/DA Roberts Author, by joining the Patreon, you really are helping change the future of the DA-verse. You help decide titles of books, approve covers, see short stories that no one else has seen. There's several up right now that aren't available anywhere. In fact, the first chapter of the current book, Death and Dyatlov Pass, is up on the Patreon community for the Patreons to read. The patrons are a huge help, and they are so much appreciated. Appreciate each and every one of the patrons that support, because your faith in the DA verse and your input is changing more than you realize, and helps out immensely. So hopefully you guys will check that out. If you feel like joining in on that, I would much appreciate it, because you are going to help change the future of these books. And again, I'm going to be posting the first chapter of new books as they're done for the patrons to check out and have input on, and maybe even the direction where the story's going. So there's going to be a lot the patrons are directly involved in. And of course, you're going to see a lot more guys like these two popping in, and you'll see some familiar faces. The new book, you're going to see characters based on both Robbie and Anthony showing up, as well as William Nighthawk, who's in the chat. Well, if you're an Apex Predator fan, William Nighthawk is one of the Hotametaneo now. and there's a reason for that. Let's just say someone had to step up when they lost Jason. So got huge plans coming, lots of books coming in the future, lots of things that are in the works, and of course, right here below us, we coined the phrase the DAX Machination, and you guys are all a part of it. Anyone that's read a book, watched a podcast, or given a comment, you are all part of the DAX Machination, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys so much. You guys are awesome. It's your words of encouragement, your support, your reading the books and joining us here as we go live on crazy nights like this. This is what fuels my inner desire for creation. This is what keeps me going. It's the outpour of support from guys, who became family, like Doc and Robbie and Anthony. I can't stress enough how these guys have become like brothers to me. Meg Mills says, thank you to all the moderators. Yes, absolutely. Moderators, you guys kicked it in the ass tonight. Awesome. Toshi says, oh shit, DA just came across a badass drawing on Twitter that gives me the vibes from Grey Eagle and the other dog soldiers when they see the wolves by the fire. I'll link it in the Discord. Heck yeah, I want to see that. Yeah, I definitely want to see that. Again, welcome to the DAX Machination. I'm really excited about us coming up with that, because I think it's just perfectly fitting for everybody. Hey, Nightbot just threw in the Patreon, so Nightbot was apparently paying attention. Nightbot was useful for once.
For once.
Yeah, for once. Yeah, we don't hold our breath that it'll happen very often. But again, folks, thank you guys so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I am stunned. I mean, Doc's been there since book one. Doc, can you believe how far this has gone in 10 years?
It's blown my mind, man. And I'm so appreciative for all the folks out there who are listening to us and tuning in every week. It's truly humbling. It really is.
It very much so is. And I can't wait to see where the next 10 years takes us and even beyond. Make sure you go over and check out, not only is he family, but go over and check out darkangelmedical.com. Get a med kit. Watch his videos if you can't go to the training. They've got online videos on YouTube where you can watch and see how to use a tourniquet and how to use some of these life-saving tools. Get a kit. Be prepared. Things are crazy in this world. You're gonna need, pray to God if you ever need a med kit that you've got one on hand. And docs are the best. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a customer. I'm saying that because I bet my life on those kits. I carried one on duty. Doc, I appreciate you, brother. And support these veteran-owned groups. Again, check out Scallywag Tactical. That's another veteran-owned group. Fantastic group of guys. They make incredible knives. Remember, the Orca is on sale for $12. Robbie already got one. I'm telling you, you cannot beat the quality of this knife for $12, and it's on sale. It's generally like $45. Scallywag Tactical blades are meant to take a beating.
Yep.
These knives are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure you check them out. If you go over to darkangelmedical.com, don't forget to use the discount code Cryptid25 for their largest discount anywhere, just for the DAX Machination. 25% off your entire order. And that is incredibly generous, especially since it's the kit for life guarantee. If you ever use that kit to save a life, they will resupply the kit for free. And that includes your own life. Yep. How many saves you up to now, Doc?
157.
Hot damn. That's 157 people still walking this earth because of that guy right there.
That guy right there.
Yeah.
Not too bad for a redneck from Route 2 Seminary, Mississippi.
Not bad at all. Very nice, Clark. Folks, again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. There will not be a show this Wednesday. But Wednesday I'll still get 25 messages. There's no show tonight, but there's no show on Wednesday. We will be back on Saturday. We've been busy behind the scenes planning a bunch of shows for the future, and I think you guys are going to be happy with the direction. Again, welcome to the DAX Machina Nation. We've only got up to go from here. I can't wait to see where this takes us. Folks, remember, stories are journeys that we take together. And thank each and every one of you, and bless each and every one of you for taking this journey with us. Love you guys. I'm so happy to have met all of you. We don't have fans. We don't have fans. We have friends. The DX Machina Nation's one big crazy family, and I'm happy to have you guys as part of it. So, with that in mind, I hope you guys had a great Halloween. I know I did. I had a hell of a good time tonight. We handed out some treats of our own. Make sure you guys email me and get with your contact information so I can get that taken care of. And we will see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.